All right. Well, I'm live now, so I'm gonna wait a few minutes like some people can join.
All right, is it recording?
Yeah,
All right, let me get.
we're live. I'm honestly not expecting much people to join because it's kind of late, and I'm not gonna like keep this video on my channel. I'll probably have it taken down after the live.
This is hot. Let me see.
Oh, someone's in.
Who
What's
is it?
up? Oh, and then we got another person. Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tours. Hello. So I am here with OCC.
Hello. I'm figuring out how to join. All right. I'm not seeing how to join here.
I texted you the link.
I texted you the link. I texted you the link.
Something is going very wrong here.
This is what happens when you put the phones too close together.
Thank you for being a fan, HA Plumbing. Sorry about the ringing in the background. It is so loud.
I'm gonna turn my volume down.
Okay, yeah. Hopefully you can figure out how to join, but Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tours said this is funny.
Oh, here we go.
But,
Here's the link.
Oh, perfect. You found the link.
At long last.
But basically I probably won't be live for long, maybe like 10-15 minutes. But if there's like any questions y'all have for me or Owen, that's obviously like appropriate questions, or like something about like our fixtures or tests or video ideas, just comment them below, and we'll read through them. I think Owen's trying to join right now.
Waiting for host.
Here we go.
Yay.
There we go.
Sweet. Hi, everyone. And again, the phones are too close together.
What if I went in the other room?
It's nicer if we do it together, but it also sounds like we're in a stadium. So,
Hi, Random Films.
maybe if you turn your volume down, it won't be coming out so loud.
Okay, that's better. Okay, hopefully y'all can hear both of us on both ends, and hopefully it's not echoing.
Yeah, it's echoing a little bit, but it's not really a problem, I don't think.
Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tour said, I was curious, ETR, do you think if your proper fittings that you could do more flushometer tests on regular tank style toilets? Yes, that would be possible. And honestly, I've been at Owen's house for like almost a week now. But when I get home, I'm definitely going to be working on more setups, like my flushometer setups. And I do have a new toilet to test out as well. It's the Toto CT725. And thank you, Owen, for buying that for my birthday.
You're welcome. Oh, hey, Aaron Michael.
Yeah, hi, Aaron Michael. Dude, Aaron Michael has been around forever. I love this guy.
Yeah,
He's like a true subscriber.
I've seen him since the beginning. I think he's a member.
He's been subscribed to your channel for a long time too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if there's any questions like any of y'all have, I guess again, as long as they're appropriate, or if there's any questions about toilets and stuff, I'd be happy to answer, and so would Owen.
Yeah, we just went around Texas A&M today after our meetup with Vintage Toilets Pittsburgh, Random Restroom Blog, and Toilet Productions.
Yeah, that was an awesome meetup, and I don't know if any of them are watching this, but I honestly really enjoyed meeting y'all in person. That was awesome. Literally the greatest toilet meetup of all time.
And the largest too.
Yeah, and the largest.
I got myself a new wristband from there too, so stay tuned and you'll see it. I can hear
Oh,
you.
Random Restroom Blogs is here. What's
Oh,
up?
hey.
What was the first toilet filmed on your channel? Good question, Random Films. The first toilet ever filmed on my channel, you can actually go to my videos and scroll all the way down to 6 years ago and see, but it was an RV toilet.
And my first was a Kohler High Crest at a gas station with no logo on it. I can hear you on my end.
I don't know why that's funny. Do you think a Cadet 3 would fit on flushometer? See, the problem with some of these tank toilets, especially even if they have like a 2 or 3 inch like spud opening, the like I don't have a spud that will like fit it perfectly, so I kind of have to take a big thick block of wood and drill bolt holes through it and like kind of sandwich the flushometer between the toilet with the tank gasket, and it usually works. But I don't know if y'all saw, but like my 1965 Kohler Barlow toilet, it's set up with that thick block of wood, so I'd have to basically just build one of those for all these different model toilets. But toilets and stuff ask, when did you become interested in toilets? I think he says toilets, but I was actually very little, and I was probably like 4 or 5, and my parents said that I would purposely flush stuff down the toilet and clog it, so my dad would have to fix it. And then there was one point where something got like wedged in the trapway, so my dad had to take the toilet off the floor and snake it through the bottom. And I thought that was so cool to see what the bottom of a toilet looks like. But we were in a rental property, so like I couldn't like mess with our toilets because we could get in trouble if I broke it. So fast forward a few years, we finally got a nice rental house with a decent sized backyard, and my dad ended up buying me a toilet. It was a Water Ridge toilet from probably Costco for $99 or something like that. But yeah, I've been interested in toilets for a very long time.
And I think Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tours asked before that. He asked what was the channel that really sparked your guys' interest in the toilet community?
For me, vintage Kohler, if you're still watching this, but one of like my favorite channels when I was way younger and I didn't have a channel, it was KFK. He used to have a channel called KFK, and I remember watching a lot of his videos. Like he had a 1.6 Kingston. I remember him watching him flush apples down it and stuff like that. And I thought that was just the coolest thing to see, like a commercial wall hung toilet set up outside. And same with KDMC Plumbing. He made the flushometer setups, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. And that's what kind of made me want to build my flushometer setup.
And in all honesty, I don't know how I found the community. I really don't. But the first channel,
Those were fun times.
yeah, the first channel was I think plumbing and stuff in Oregon was my first. That it really inspired me. I mentioned him in my 10,000 subscriber special video, and yeah, thanks a lot, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, and also to the people who are still watching, thank you all so much for 5,000 subscribers. Like, I wish there was a way I could see who like my 5,000th subscriber was. Like, that would be really cool.
I wonder who your first was.
Dude, I don't know who my first subscriber was, but I remember the first person who ever commented on any of my videos, and that was KDMC Plumbing.
Mine was Eric Morton.
Eric Martin.
Mm-hmm.
The first comment I ever got was from KDMC Plumbing. Somebody asked, how many toilets do I have? It's actually kind of scary. I'm probably nearing 200 toilets and about 30 urinals.
My gosh.
And I have a few storage units to store them, but I still have like probably around 130 or 40 toilets at my house, like on our property.
And before that, to answer toilets and stuff, when I became interested was when I was about 3, and I would take all the lid off the toilet at my house and just look at all the parts in it, and I was so fascinated by it. And so that was about the time it was. It was a Murray Savoy from probably the 80s. And Darfield Zone says, what are the weirdest restrooms you guys have ever seen? There's a cursed one at a Mexican restaurant near my college. I would say the weirdest one has got to be in the 1940 Sears building. The one that had three rear outlet toilets, 2 sinks. It had 3 showers and a bathtub all in the same room with no curtains. That's got to be the absolute weirdest I've ever seen.
I think like the weirdest layout I've ever seen for a restroom. That was the question, right?
I think it was just the weirdest restrooms just in general.
Okay, well, I guess this is weird, but there was this one. burger place I went to, and there was a standard washable urinal, but the sink and the toilet were like touching together, and then there was a stall for the toilet to the left of the urinal, but there was no door. But it was a multi-user restroom, like there's no lock on the door. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think I've seen that where there's like a stall between the toilet and the urinal, but there was a one door to the whole bathroom and it didn't even lock.
Yeah,
It was a
it's
bar.
yeah, I don't know why, but that was probably like the most interesting bathroom layout I've seen, I guess.
And then I guess let's answer the questions in order.
Yeah.
So let's see. Random Film says, "What was the worst toilet?" Well, I would gotta say, one of those glacier bays. It's probably that one of the knockoff American Standard Colony, like I punished.
Yep.
That one,
That's what I was gonna say
that's gotta
too.
be the worst. Then there are those ones that look like the knockoff Toto Drakes. I've seen one of those that's all cracked up after 3 years, and just never ever buy those unless you want property damage and a toilet that doesn't work, or if you want one to punish.
Ooh, Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tours asked a really good question. He said, "What are your guys' family opinions on your interest in toilets and collections?"
Oh, that's a
My
really good.
parents are actually fully supportive of it. Like they think it's awesome and they think it's cool that I get to do this and make other people happy to watch my content as well. But really they don't have any issue with it as long as I don't make a mess of it. Like if I have like 100 toilets all around the house, then it's a problem and they're like, "Hey, you need to like put all that up." But for the most part, they're really supportive. And before I could drive or anything like that, they would always take me places like pretty far too to get a just one little silly toilet. So they've always been really supportive, which is awesome.
That's pretty much the same with me. Just like as long as they don't have to look out the window and see a pile of toilets on the deck or something like that, they're fine with it. As long as I keep it tidy and neat, which I haven't really been doing lately, but I've been getting better at it. So that's pretty much what they think. And my dad even has started to notice more differences in toilets now that I became interested in them. He's like, "Hey, this one flushes a little different. Or this is I haven't seen one this brand before," or something like that.
Yeah. Someone said I found a Madeira. It's a 1990s model, and it was at Walmart.
A '90s Madeira. That's what the Walmart in Galveston used to have before they ripped them all out with and put in the new Totos.
Ooh,
But those
someone
are
asked, "What's
2000s.
the best toilet?" Like it depends on what your budget is. Like if you're looking for a cheap budget toilet, that's good. Definitely the Project Source Pro Flush.
What do you mean the best one of all time? Who said it again? What? Who said this is alright?
You popped your toe and it was really
What? Yeah, standard cadets are pretty awesome. Sorry, we're having some technical issues right now.
I don't know why that was funny.
Please excuse us for a moment. And as I'm saying this, I'm prolonging his laughter.
Okay, I think I'm okay. Hold on, let's see if we missed any other questions. How many American Standard toilets do you have? Probably about like maybe 50 or 60, give or take.
I don't even know. I haven't seen my collection in a hole in so long, and half of them are covered in vines, so I can't see them.
I actually recently just got an American Standard toilet. It's a one-piece American Standard Townsend, and it's like one of those vortex jet toilets. It has two flappers, one for the rim jet and then one for the siphon jet. So it's actually kind of cool to experiment with. Hello, CFT Plumbing or CTF. My bad.
Oh, hi, welcome.
I have a 2000 American Standard Madeira. That's cool. I have 11 2011 American Standard Madeiras. I got all of them from an elementary school.
And
and one's comfort height, and the rest are standard height, but they're all 2011 American Standard Maderas. Someone asked for Porcelain's opinion. I'll let you answer that one.
Porcimex or I mean Prosomex or Porcelamex, either of them, I think they're basically those ones aren't the ones that are a copy of each other, but I've thrown a bowling ball through one of each of those, so that pretty much says what my opinion is on them.
Do you like the standard modernist? I do love the standard modernist. I have two of them, one with a 10-inch rough-in and one with a 12-inch rough-in.
I'm,
Both I got for free.
I'm looking at mine right now, and I have no plans to ever get rid of it.
Don't.
I won't,
Good. Don't.
but I might get rid of the doll that's hanging from it.
Don't. Bro Stig said, I've only got 22 toilets and all of them are vintage and good except my 2013 also. Dude, 22 toilets is actually a pretty decent sized collection.
Mm-hmm.
Like most people that do collect toilets, they have like three or four. There's not many people that have as many toilets as I do.
True that. I used to, but then you got most of them.
Yeah. Someone said they got a 1940 modernist. That's awesome. Dude, we actually got 23 people watching.
Oh,
This
that's
is cool.
nice. Oh, and Vintage Toilets Texas asked, "What are you going to do with 11 2000s Madeiras?" We're gonna flush them.
Yeah, I've only set up a couple of them. There's some I'm gonna give to people like KDMC Plumbing. Whenever I meet up with him again, I'm gonna give him one, and then whoever else wants a 2011 American Standard Madeira, I guess. But I'm not going to ship them because I don't want to deal with that, especially if they're already broken. But if you live near me or not too far and you want a 2011 Madeira, just let me know and I got you. But honestly, I don't know what I'd do with 2011 American Standard Madeiras, but it's kind of cool to have them at the same time.
I think all you're gonna do with them now is put soap in them so they don't freeze, or
Yeah.
so the mosquitoes don't get in them. And
Well,
then
most of them are going into storage to prevent from freezing.
yeah. And then Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tours says, recently bought a 2023 Glacier Bay Power Flush. What is your guys' opinion on them? I've heard mixed opinions.
Okay, so my opinion, like I've tested mine and everything, and it does pretty well. But also, it's like you. Okay, mine when I got it, the water line was set a tad bit too low, and it wouldn't flush properly, so I had to raise it. But other than that, I really don't have too much of an opinion. They're actually decently good performers, but I've never like actually used one, so I don't have any personal experience with like performance. But overall, I don't really have any issues with mine, and it's something I probably would install.
In my opinion of them, I think that they seem like a really good performing toilet. They've got nice flushes, but my catch with them is I don't like an over engineered toilet. I don't like all the stuff in the tank. I'd rather just
Yeah.
have something that I can go out, get a flapper, put it in, get a fill valve, put it in, not have to worry about a bunch of weird tank to bowl gaskets or vacuum
No, yeah,
chambers
and
and stuff like that.
that's definitely one thing about those vacuity toilets is you can't just go to Home Depot and buy replacement parts. You have to call online and place a order, and those things are going to be expensive.
Yeah, and then Glacier Bay and their problems with glaze cracks and porcelain cracks. I don't like that at all. Except those are the ones that are made in Mexico. The Chinese ones don't
Random
do that.
Films said, "What is your favorite toilet?" I actually don't have a favorite toilet. But if I had to pick a favorite toilet in my collection, it would be my 1926 standard maroon Savoy.
And mine, sorry,
No, I was gonna say I've got the complete bowl. Like I've got the tank, the lid, and the matching porcelain cover that go around the pipe.
that thing is awesome.
Yeah.
And my favorite would be my 1930 standard Syocta, which I do not have anymore. I sold it, but that was my favorite toilet.
1992 Lamosa Sahara opinion. Okay, those they're not great. I'll just say that again. This is my opinion, but they're not very great. One thing I do like about them though is like the really interesting trapway design because when they siphon, all the water disappears from the mouth of the trapway. Unlike most toilets where you can still see water at the bottom of the bowl.
I'm pretty sure they actually made two generations in 1992. There's the one that they made up until the early 2010s, and then there's the one like that one that I punished. And I don't know if you guys saw to the end of the video, but there was actually a lot of minerals in that one. So despite it flushing so weak, there was actually a reason for it. But normally they're not like that. So I would say that they're an okay toilet. Definitely not the best, but they're uh, all right for a cheap toilet.
We're getting a lot of comments, but I'm gonna read the next one after the one we just answered.
All right.
HA said, "What toilets do y'all have at school or home?" Okay, so the toilets I have at my house, I have two Kohler Highline pressure lights. One of them came from a Whataburger, and one of them I ordered a few years ago off of Amazon. And in the third bathroom is just a brand new Gerber Maxwell.
And the toilet frenzy asked, "What's the most cursed original tank bowl combo you've ever seen?" Well, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to give that one some thought. But I did see a Kilgore Aladdin with an Elder Patriot tank and a Vitromax Marathon 2 lid, and that's 3 different models right there, 3 different brands too. And then I saw a Kohler Highline Class 5 with with a mismatched brown Kohler tank lid. That's pretty weird.
Vermont Toilets Restroom Tours said, "What is the most common toilets around your guys' area?" It's definitely the Cadet Threes for me. Okay, for me, I don't know why, but every place that's been replacing like any buildings and stuff that have been around me, the replacements always seem to be Gerber Maxwells.
It's always Gerber Maxwell.
I don't know why, but it's Gerber Maxwell's. Even my local Whataburger doesn't have anything Kohler. It has a Zern, urinal, whatever, EcoVantage, whatever it's called, and then it's got two Gerber Maxwells.
I think it's like a what's the Zern? Like it's not a pint. I forgot what it's called.
Darfield Zone said, "Would you rather have a 1982 Kohler Woolworth water guard or a 1982 Kohler Highline water guard?" Definitely the Highline, just because I prefer comfort high toilets.
I'd say the Highline because I doubt it would struggle on a washcloth.
Random Film said, "Have you clogged a school toilet?" No, I've never clogged a school toilet, but I have seen them clogged and unclogged them, but I've never like intentionally or accidentally clogged a school toilet.
I I poured some water into a school toilet, but I've never actually I've never actually clogged one.
Naomi Gina said, "Do you make miniature toilets?" Yes. Okay, so the website is minitoiletshop.com, but at the moment, like we've temporarily paused any new orders just because we have a lot to catch up on. But yes, we do make miniature toilets, or me and KDMC. So someone said they need to make a class 7, 8, and 9.
Wonder what those would look like. Maybe that's what they should rename those new ones that look like Glacier Base. They should call those the Class 7s, and maybe they should just change Revolution 360 to Class 8. But I'll
Someone
leave that
said,
up
"I
to
made a urinal
Thor.
never stopped flushing at school today."
Wonder how you did that.
Yeah, that
I bet that was the fault of the flushometer.
unless you like kicked it or something or did something you're not supposed to do to it, yeah, it would probably be the flushometer's fault. What's your guys' opinions on waterless urinals? Okay, so this is an interesting question. I'm glad you asked this. My opinion, they're okay, and let me explain. So the thing is, most waterless urinals, like the Sloan water-free urinals and some of the Kohler urinals that are waterless, there's a special cartridge that gets put into the urinal, and it has like an oil type stuff in it. So it's like you know how if you put oil and then you put water, the oil will sink to the bottom and the water will float on the top. It's kind of like that, and they sit in those cartridges. So when people they urinate in the urinal and there's no water, rinse it down. That oil will kind of help push the urine out of the urinal. So those cartridges, when they're new and stuff and they're clean and taken care of, they work really well. And they don't usually have an odor. But what happens is most people don't realize you have to replace the cartridges, which can get a little bit expensive, and when people don't replace them, they get clogged and then they smell and they're horrible. So if you take care of them, they're okay. But what doesn't make sense to me is they say they're waterless, so you can like save money on water and stuff and all that. But at the same time, you're also spending like 40 to 60 bucks every few months to replace the cartridges. And at that point, I feel like it'd be the same cost as just paying for the extra water that the urinals use.
And
So
even
that's my opinion. Hopefully that makes sense.
and even though it's environmentally friendly, you're still sending a cartridge off to the dump plus whatever oil's in there. And I guess my opinion on them is they're disgusting, they're unsanitary, and they just flat out suck. They don't even flush because you don't get the water to clean everything off the sides. And I mean, just use the extra half or quarter gallon of water to flush it. It's really not big of a
Yeah.
deal. That big of a
And
deal.
thank you, Vintage Kohler, for correcting me. He said it's actually the opposite. Water sinks to the bottom and the oil floats. Okay, thank you for
Oh,
letting me know.
that makes sense, so it doesn't stink.
Yeah, and then, okay, he said it was the flushometer. Someone said, "What is your favorite modern toilets?" My favorite modern toilet of all time, and it has been for a while, is the Kohler Highline AccuFlush. So it's basically like a Highline pressure light, but on flushometer. Those toilets are really cool.
My favorite would probably be the Project Source Pro Flush, or actually, if you count a discontinued model as modern, I'd say that last generation of the Aquasource Henshaw.
Um, Someone said, "What you use, class 5 or 6?" I prefer class 5.
I prefer 6, got better bowl rinse from my experience.
Yeah. Random Russian blog said, "That reminds me of an Auburn at A&M that didn't quit flushing on film."
I don't remember that one, I must not have seen it.
Wasn't there an outfall in that one like circle building that just had a super long but really weak flush?
Yeah, it was, what was that building called? It was the one with the big copper dome on top, I forget it, didn't
Yeah.
see the name. It was a block logo half wall without the crooked trap.
Bro Six said, my favorite toilets of yours are the two yellow Cobras. Yeah, those are awesome. HA said, "My fave is Elder Stannis." Those are pretty cool.
And Random Films asks, "Have you ever clogged your rare toilet?" And all of my toilets have been tested, and I think I have clogged basically every one of them on at least one of my tests, so I would say yes, 100%.
I'm same answer for me as well. Let's see. Vermont toilets, Russian tours. Do you guys think waterless toilets come? What does that mean?
Waterless toilets come what? Come, uh, come from, come to, come with.
Someone said, "BTR Plumbing, can you teach me how to make better mini toilets because my clay toilets are kind of terrible?"
Oh,
Okay, first of all, your clay toilets are not terrible. They're actually pretty cool. And if you think about it, toilets are pretty hard to model. Like, they're very, I don't know, they got a lot of curves and stuff, and the trapways have to be perfect. So the fact that you can even make a clay mini toilet is awesome. They're not terrible at all. So don't say that. And the thing is, our my mini toilets, they're 3D printed. They aren't like made out of like clay or anything. And it's not like I can hand make molds. We actually designed them on a 3D modeling software called Blender. And if you don't know what Blender is, you can look it up on YouTube and there's plenty of tutorials to teach you how to use it and it's free.
and I understand Vermont toilets and restroom tours. Do you think they'll come? Meaning, like, do you think that we will have waterless toilets eventually? I think if Bill Gates gets his way, we will. But otherwise, I really don't see how that would ever work because it would be extremely expensive and wasteful. So I think we'll just keep using water. That'll keep all our channels alive, and we'll keep being able to find cool stuff. So I sure hope we don't get waterless toilets.
CTF said, "I like the Highlines and the 360 coolers. I love any like 360 toilet, and you can ask Owen because he knows that very
Yeah,
well.
I do.
I think they're really cool.
They are cool. I don't like the overcomplicated designs when they start putting like multiple flappers and priming and stuff in them.
Yeah,
That's when I have an issue with them.
but the Toto CT725 doesn't even do that. It's just flushometer, so it's super simple, and it's not like there's extra stuff that could go wrong.
Yeah, and if they made like I know my Elliston, that one seemed to be a pretty solid design if the flush was longer, which is basically the case for every 1.28 toilet. The Cimarron needs a lot of work. I've heard some pretty awful things about them, but
Yeah,
I think that there are some good designs out there. And the Totos, I just saw a couple recently, and the flushes are like a half a second, if that. And I really think they need to be longer to be worth anything.
yeah. Thank you guys for 7 likes, by the way. My phone battery is about to run out. I'll be right back. Oh, and you entertain everybody while I go grab my charger.
All right, I've got one. Oh, you've got the Apple charger, right? But
What is an Apple charger?
let me see. So, Toilet Lover asks, "Can I be Garfield?" Well, I am over 18, so I could legally change my name. So technically, I could be, but otherwise, no. And OL Plumbing says, "I tried putting a piston valve in my Aquastar Senja. That's pretty interesting. I'm curious how that fit. I've only seen the two types of aqua pistons, and oh, BTR's got his camera.
I'm back now. I'm gonna have to stand. There we go. What did I miss?
He missed me explaining that I actually can be Garfield.
NJC said, "Hey guys, have you heard what's happening on October 4th? A whole nationwide test of the EAS is supposedly to go off on all mobile and radio devices." Yes, I have heard about that. It actually came up in my TikTok feed, and I didn't know if it was real or not, but I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it. So I'm honestly kind of curious to see what's going to happen.
And the Toilet Frenzy asks, "What's your opinion of the new Toto Cyclone flushometer toilets?" Well, BTR is head over heels for them. I
Yes.
think they're really cool. I think they have a huge design flaw in the middle of the bowl. I think that there will be a big issue in you remember the catch-up test I did on the pressure lights? I think it'll go that way. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think that there will be some issues there. But
But now that I have one, once I get back to my house, I'm gonna test it, and I'm excited to see how it does.
And Dexter92 says one toilet that doesn't deserve positive credit and performance to Elder Canterbury. We had one and it drove me and family crazy. The armor shaped trapway were too horrible design. What's your opinion? I had two Canterburys, but I assume you're talking about the 1.6. And that one had a terrible flush. I don't think it's not public yet. I haven't made that. I haven't posted that. But I had a 1.6 Canterbury, and it actually performed a lot better than I thought. I don't know how it would do normally, but it seemed to take the stuff pretty
Let's see.
okay.
There's a couple other really good questions. Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tour said, "Odd question. What are your guys' favorite tank parts?" Mine, if I had to choose, it would always be Fluid Master. Fluid Master is like really the only company I like for toilet parts. I'm not a fan of Corky, so.
And
And then,
I would say if you're buying them just out of normal like Lowe's or Home Depot, I'd go with Fluid Master also. But if you can get to one of those plumbing stores, I'd say try to get Coast Foundry. They're those white ball cocks and those blue flappers that you'll find in some Elger toilets and some Vortense toilets. They're kind of hard to come by these days, but they last forever and they're really good quality.
mm-hmm. Ooh, here, Bro Sig said, "Weird question. Do y'all have Snapchat?" I know Owen doesn't, but I do. Uh, Random Film says, "What color toilets do you have?" I have, let's see. Oh boy, this is gonna be a second. Okay, so I have maroon. I have like an avocado green. Let's see. I have a few yellow fixtures. I have blue. I have like purple or lavender. It's my Ream Claymore.
You have white.
Yeah, I have white. I mean, that's a color too. So I have yeah, almost all my fixtures are white. I have black. I have like beige, almond, pink. I I think that's probably about it for colors.
And JSMSM says you sound like OCC. That's because I am. I am OCC.
Someone said I paid $10 for a 3D modernist model. I know exactly who you're talking about. It's like his name, I'm pretty sure on like the website is like Dylan Carnes. He's actually bought a lot of miniature toilets from us. Some JSM. Oh, you already read that one.
Yeah, I think I
That's
did.
funny.
And the Toilet Frenzy asks, "What do you think the Walmart Mainstays toilet will be like?" I'm actually really looking forward to getting one of those. I am going to buy one, and I think that by seeing one, I've seen a picture of one, and I think they're going to be a lot like the Foremost Eco to go. But don't quote me on that because I have never actually seen one in person. But I am quite interested to see what it will be like.
Yeah. I haven't seen them in any Walmarts yet. Like I know KDMC found one. He sent me a picture, but I've yet to see a Mainstays toilet for sale inside of Walmart.
I've seen two Walmarts that carry them, I think. And Dexter92 asks, "Did you guys also do the Nisa Pro toilets? Do you think they would perform well for water saving toilets?" I had one and I smashed it on camera during the tests. And I know the Toilet Frenzy had one. I'm pretty sure he destroyed that also. So they're pretty much a widely, universally disliked toilet. I would say they're the modern version of Vitromex. They don't really have much bowl rinse, and they perform okay from my experience. Like they aren't bad cloggers, but the flushes leave a lot to be desired, and they just leave a lot in general. So that's what I think of
Do you
them.
mind if I sit here?
No, I don't.
Thanks. My knees are starting to hurt. So. What is the loudest fill valve?
The loudest fill valve. Well, I found a Mansfield one in an open house. It made the pipe start. It started banging when it was filling up, and that was really loud. And then there are the Fluid Masters that are notorious for their squeaking at times. And then some of them, I think someone found one that moaned, like one of those Hoover line ones. But I don't really know. I've seen some really loud ones, but most of them are Fluid Master.
HA Plumbing said, "What is it called when you flush a toilet but it bubbles while flushing? Like when it starts to flush?" There's no name for that, but basically all that is just the air getting pushed through the siphon jet channel, and that's why like older toilets too. When you hear them flush, it's there's like a weird like I don't know how to describe like the noise, but it sounds like all that weird noise, especially with the Sloan toilets that squeak really loudly. That's just the sound of the air getting pushed through the tiny rim jets. So I don't think there's really a name for that though.
I would say it's air being pushed through the rim jets.
Yeah.
That's what I would call it.
Yeah, it's called air being pushed through the rim jets in the siphon jet channel.
And Naomi Gina says, "Can you explain why my aunt's bathrooms, I assume you mean Elger, is really lopsided, but our hall bathroom Elger was perfect? Also, they flush terrible. Don't recommend getting them. They clog like 2 times a week." I would assume you're talking about a 1.6 Elger, and the reason that one would be lopsided is because it slumps down when it was being fired in the kiln during manufacturing, and or either that or the floor is uneven. So I'm not entirely sure which it is, but I have not had good experience with some of those Elders. I've tested them, and a lot of them don't do well.
Um, Bro Sig said usually cadets really have that raspberry sound. That's a good way to put it.
Oh yeah, the raspberry sound. Those '80s ones especially,
Yeah.
and the Kilgores too.
How many tank parts do you have? That's a good question. Owen. How many tank parts do you have?
I have boxes stacked to my chest, and that's just one stack of boxes.
And there's probably a few hundred fill valves in here.
Yeah, that would be accurate. And then that, not counting all the ones outside that I put in random tanks.
Yeah.
And Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tours asks, if you guys had to pick one toilet to keep from your collections, what would you pick? And I would immediately say, without question, my 1901 John Douglas Lotus. That thing is never leaving my possession.
Yeah, that'd be sad if the toilet was gone.
How about you?
For me,
Yeah,
if I would definitely have to keep my maroon Savoy.
yeah, that thing's amazing.
Especially I only paid $60 for it.
That's a steal.
Yeah. Let's see. I missed a few comments. What if you have a dancing flapper? The only times I've ever seen that is if the overflow tube in a toilet flush valve is clogged.
Yeah, that's the only time it does that. I saw it happen. I posted a video on my alternate channel, and it was a flapper doing that in my low tank setup. And that's pretty much the only reason it does that if the overflow pipe is blocked.
Yeah. Um, let's see. JM101 asked, "How many toilets do you have?" I answered this earlier, but I have approximately 200 toilets and about 30 urinals, maybe more. Someone said, "What are your favorite urinals?" Good question. My favorite urinal is actually discontinued, and it's the modern American Standard Jetbrook. Those urinals are super cool, in my opinion. And if I had to pick a second favorite urinal, it would probably be the standard Alta urinal.
And my favorite urinal, I've got to say that's probably, in all honesty, the Kohler Freshman. I don't care how old it is, either that or the '80s Dexter. The one that's got the same sort of trapway as that, like one from the '80s to '90s.
Yeah,
I think Kohler made some good siphonic urinals.
definitely. They always had pretty large trapways too.
And Random Film says, "What was your greatest fear?" I don't actually know.
I didn't. I never really had any fears when I was little. Like I didn't like porta potties. I used to be scared of like falling in the tank, I guess, but that didn't really last for long, maybe like 2 years, but I really never had any fears.
I guess my fear was self-cleaning Roman subway restrooms specifically. Yeah, that's probably my fear. Not anymore though. That was only when I was like 9.
AJ Plumbing said, random films. My fear is when a PA toilet handle drops down when pushing it.
I hated that.
Yeah, it always jolts your hand back. I mean, I guess I was kind of scared of pressure assist toilets when I was younger, especially the
Same.
Highline pressure lights, because at the time I couldn't tell the difference between the Ingenium Wellworth and the pressure lights because they looked very similar.
I
So every time I'd flush it, I'd kind of like flush it and back up really quick just to see because it used to scare me when I was little.
I couldn't tell the difference between any of them. They all look like tank toilets to me.
Yeah.
And then I'd take off the lid. It's one of those, and then I'd put it back on and leave disappointed. But Master
Disappointed.
Flush says I found so many vintage Kilgore toilets where I live since they're so common where I live, like the avocado green Kilgore Apex, two 1971 Kilgore Alphas. I really love those. They've got to be some of my favorites. But since I live in Texas, that's where the factory was and still is, and that's where they were made. So that would make sense. They're very common around me.
And I do have a Kilgore catalog too that I plan to release. I'm not sure exactly when, but it has a whole bunch of model names and numbers for everything. So hopefully that'll clear up some confusion as well for some of these models.
And John Reeves says, "What toilets do you like the most?" I've got to say my 1959 Standard Cadets. Those are awesome, and my 1930 Standard Sayacto. Those have got to be my favorites.
Those are pretty cool toilets. If it's in my collection, obviously it's gonna be my maroon Savoy and probably my Cranolini.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome. And Brothig says, "If I could, I would save all the Altos from that factory." Yeah, those are really cool. I wouldn't mind getting a 2000s Comfort Height Alto sometime.
Yeah.
Specifically, those older ones with the high mount trapway.
The thing is, it's like even though like I've been there several times, I've never like I wouldn't feel comfortable taking any like fixtures unless I got permission from the owner.
And Random Films ask, "Have you ever found an animal in your toilet?" Yes, I have found a lot of animals in my toilets. So first, I guess I found basically every type of bug in them, including black widows. And as for animals, I found toads, I found frogs, I
Hello,
found
EFT plumbing.
I found lizards, I found a white-tailed dove. It was alive. I found mice, and I found wasps. Those are also bugs. And my cat even crawled into one. So, I've seen a lot of animals in toilets, actually.
And wasn't there a grasshopper that flew out of the rim on that American Standard Townsend?
Yeah, it was a massive katydid thing. I don't even know what it was. It looks like a big leaf.
Someone said a black widow's not a bug.
That's a spider.
This message is held for review.
Mm.
Potentially inappropriate messages. Oh, okay. So someone's message got held for review. But
Does it say
oh
who?
wow, someone said thank you very much, Vintage Toys Florida. He sent a $2 super chat.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That is my first time ever receiving a super chat in a live stream. Thank
Oh,
you very
awesome.
much.
Use it towards some more toilets. You know what? We could use it towards the parking pass that we paid for in the garage at Texas A&M.
Yeah, well, thank you for the $2 donation.
And West Michigan Vintage Toilets asked, "How many toilets do you have in your collection?" I know BTR's answered this a couple times, but I last counted, I had 50 bowls and 80 tanks, approximately.
For me, I think I have more toilet bowls than tanks. I'm around 200 toilets and maybe like 140 tanks.
I need to give you some of my tanks.
Yeah. A lot of the toilets I get, like the tanks are always broken on them or cracked.
Yeah, that sucks. I have so many tanks. I used to back when I was just restoring toilets and didn't film them, I would always find missing tanks and missing lids. So I just got to the point where I would save every single tank and every single lid I found, and now I got to have too many. And Random Film says my cat fell into my 2004 also. Well, I hope for the cat's sake that the bowl was dry, and I hope it was flushed. My cat fell into my 1976 Yellow Cadet chasing a ping pong ball.
Ooh, okay, this is a good question. John said, BTR, what is your opinion on toilet paper tests? Okay, this is my opinion. Unless it's your own fixture, like at your own house or a fixture you have in your personal collection, do not do TP tests. Like, even if you buy your own toilet paper, do not flush absurd amount of toilet paper down toilets because that stuff can cause like sewage clogs and it's just not very good and it's technically a form of vandalism in a way.
Yeah,
So, honestly, my opinion is do not do it unless it's your own fixtures and do it at your own risk if it is your own fixtures in your house.
and the toilet frenzy asks, "How many donuts have you eaten out of a urinal?" I think I've only heard of one person doing that. It was some random bald guy, but other than that, I don't think anyone else that I know of. I haven't done it. If I get a new urinal, I might just do it for laughs, but then there'd be like donut frosting and grease and stuff in it, and
Oh,
I literally just said all of that without laughing.
Naomi said, I currently have 6 handmade miniature toilets that I made. I feel like the one mistake I made while making them, especially, was making the trap way too small. I had a horrible time making miniature toilets, and honestly, I love seeing uh, I love seeing like what other people can come up with. Like a lot of you guys who make miniature toilets, a lot of you who make miniature toilets actually do a really good job with this stuff, like better than I ever could make with clay.
I know OWO or OO Plumbing. I don't know if you're still around. I don't know, but I remember you sending a video of a clay toilet. It was a concealed siphon jet. It actually made the same sound when like the priming jets or whatever. It was so cool. I even showed it to my parents.
Vermont Toilets and Restroom Tours said, I personally dislike washbrooks because they get a ton of minerals built up. Uh, what are your guys' opinions? Okay, listen. So the thing with wash down urinals, most of the time I don't see them have mineral buildup, but when they do, it's when you flush them and they like trickle like 2 drops of water. And for some reason, it's always the Kohler Bardens I find that barely
Oh,
flush any
those
water.
those are awful. And the new
Yeah.
washbooks too. I personally think that like all of the washbooks I've seen except the new ones seem to have a really bad problem with bowl clearance. I don't know what it is about them. I think it's that they hold a lot of water in them, but the new washbooks that you can flush it and it all drains out into that tiny little quarter size trap.
Yeah.
But and that makes it a lot less liquid in the and I think it just overall works better.
But also at the same time, it's not always the urinal fault there's minerals because most of the people don't even flush. They just leave it to sit, you know?
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you how many times I've walked into a restroom and I've had to flush the urinals before I filmed them because someone didn't flush.
most of the time, or not most of the time, but a lot. And
Yeah.
Brosig asked, "Do you still have the 1976 Yellow Cadet?" I do. It's my first ever toilet, and I'm looking at the tank right now, actually.
Ooh, Sand Guy asked you a question, OCC.
Sand guy, OCC, do you think an Eldridge Signature or a Boeing 737-800 is better? Um, I don't know. For an airplane toilet, the 737-800 is probably average, and an Eldridge Signature, if it's a 2000s one, I hate those things. I think they're the Glacier Bay of flushometer toilets. But if it's the 90s ones, I think they're also just pretty average. So overall, I'd say they're just mediocre average.
EFT said, "What commercial toilets you got rid of over time?" I never get rid of my commercial stuff unless something happens to them. Like every once in a while, it'll get really cold, and sometimes even when I drain the toilets, it always snows and then it melts and then it snows again and then freezes, and it's almost impossible to keep my toilets from freezing. That's why I have storage units now, but I've gotten rid of a few commercial toilets, but never because I didn't want them or didn't like them. It just had to do with damage. And a few of those toilets are including like a current generation Madeira, my Kohler Welcome Ultra, my one of my Sloan like floor mount toilets. But I never ever get rid of toilets or destroy any of my fixtures unless there's something damaged beyond repair or if it leaks and it's not repairable.
And the commercial toilets I got rid of over time, I got rid of a new Madeira because I accidentally cracked it or broke a piece off when I set it down. And the other one was my 2011 Vortens Atenas, basically a wall-mounted Vortens Vienna Flux. It broke during the freeze, and I dissected it on my channel. And Random Films asked, "Have you ever abandoned one of your toilets?" I
No.
have. I have abandoned one of my toilets. I accidentally broke it after I restored it, and so I just set it back in a corner of my yard and saw like it collect the pine needles and just watched over time it get water in it and stuff. It was, and I even put some plants in it.
Let's see. Do you ever donate toilets? I've never donated toilets, but I've sold toilets.
I have donated toilets before. I had a few people who took them. They took them to Africa, and a couple people took them to Mexico. I've also sold them to people who take them to Africa. I would count those.
John
Those
says, "What are the largest restrooms you have ever filmed?" For me, it's 100% Bucky's.
Bucky's
It's
definitely for
always
me.
Bucky's. Hold on, I think I missed a few. Going back on the miniature toilet topic for this question, who would you say is your favorite miniature toilet maker? Probably Potty Maker. If y'all don't know his channel, it's just search up Potty Maker. He makes miniature porcelain toilets, and they are really cool. And they even have functional take parts. Like the fill valves don't work unless you get the deluxe version, and it'll come with a pump to refill the tank. But he makes really awesome miniature toilets.
And my favorite miniature toilet maker is the Mini Toilet Shop.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Out of all the vintage toilets in your collection that broke during a freeze, which toilet would you say was the most depressing loss?
Alger, Texas.
Yeah, 100% my Elger, Texas. That one was really sad, and I actually kept it for a while after it broke so I can get some, like, pictures and, like, videos of it to model a 3D printed one, but that was definitely one of the sad ones.
I say my Alger Hygiene. That one was sad too.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Is a 1990s color barn better than a 2000s color barn? Honestly, I think they're, like, the same.
Yeah,
Like
only the logos are different. I choose a '90s one just because they're more interesting due to just being older. But
yeah.
other than that, I really don't see a difference.
Vintage Toilets Florida says, I have a mini 70s Concord, which is the cadet from the mini toilet shop. I remember making that one. I missed one. Naomi says, unfortunately, a common mistake I see other miniature toilet makers make is using clay that will potentially melt or dissolve instead of using oven baked clay, aka what I use. Yeah, I mean, let's see. I know KDMC has made a ton of clay toilets in the past, and most of the time he actually fired them to prevent that from happening.
And let's see. Aaron says, "Do you prefer current gen cadets or previous gen?" Since they only make pressure assist cadets now, I would 100% say current.
Yeah, me too.
And Brosig asks or wonders, I didn't I have two Elder Hygienes? Yes, I did. I restored and sold one, and I kept the other.
Where do you live? It looks like Ohio where you film. No, we live in Texas.
I've gone to Ohio on some trips, and I filmed some stuff there, but I live in Texas, and that's where I do all my outside filming. And then there are occasional times. There was one time I went to this vacant lot. There used to be like a warehouse building there that got torn down, and I set up some illegally dumped VHP toilet that I found. I brought a 5-gallon jug of water and set it all up there. Brought some tank parts, put in it, and did all my flush. I did my flush. Took all my stuff back out. Took my breaks, left the toilet there, and went back home because I didn't need it.
HA Plumbing. I feel like a cadet is a high. Wait, I feel like a cadet is a tank version of Madeira. They all flush the same on flushometer. The only difference between the pressure assist cadets and the Madeiras is the Madeiras usually swirl on higher pressure. Pressure assist cadets don't really swirl.
I found a swirling Yorkville.
Bro Sig said, I live in Arkansas. Kind of wish I could meet y'all. Okay, Bro Sig, I'm only 2 hours from Arkansas, and I actually drove to Arkansas not that long ago to pick up a Kilgore Atom urinal. Depending on what part of Arkansas, and as long as your parents are okay with it, I would 100% love to drive over there and meet you. I honestly love meeting people in the community.
Me too. It's awesome.
Yeah. What fixtures are typical for a new Nordstrom and REI store? Because I'm fixing to visit there soon.
I've never filmed either of them. Never been to the
Same.
restrooms in them. I've been to REI before, but that was a while ago.
Random Russian blog. I'm just in Texas right now for this week. Well, Honestly, I was really glad I got to meet you in person.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was really awesome. We all had a great time. We made some memories we'll never forget.
And John Reeves asked which Madeiras are better, 2000s or 2010s? 100% 2010s.
Yeah.
Except those new redesigned ones, I don't like them. Those ones that are really loud, I don't like those.
I've also seen the new Madeiras with like the effective siphon jets, like they're like
Yeah.
punched out wrong and then they splash. But
And Renner Western Blower agrees the new Madeiras are definitely the best.
yeah,
Definitely. And Random Film says, "What hurricanes have you been hit by?" There was that one that blew down the fence. I did a video on that. I got a code violation from the city marshal, and that was I don't remember the name of it. It wasn't Laura. I don't think it was the one. It was the one after that. It had some name, uncommon name.
Bro Sig said I live practically in Hot Springs. If you look it up, you can see where it's at. Okay, if you're within like 5 or 6 hours, again, as long as your parents are okay with it, I would happily drive up there to meet you. And if you wanted, I'd love to give you some of my fixtures as well that I have duplicates of. And then EFT said, hopefully I'll be able to meet y'all sometime next year too. That would be awesome. And then Master Flush said, what is your opinion on the Glacier Bay Power Flush? We kind of answered this earlier. To sum it all up, they seem to be pretty good performing toilets, but the problem with them is if the tanks, like the tank parts, the stealth technology has issues, you can't just go to the store and buy replacement parts. You have to order them online.
And someone asked, let me see. OL Plumbing says I'm playing with a 2-inch flapper right now. Here, I'll pop this one on camera for you. Here, it's one of those soft frame Fluid Master flappers.
Ooh, someone asked me a question. BTR, where do you keep all your toilets? Do you have a storage shed? Okay, so I have a big fence that we built onto our property, and that's where I keep most of my collection, which is about 150 toilets. But I also have a 15 by 25-foot storage shed about 20 minutes from my house, and I have about 50 fixtures in there. Usually, all my really old or vintage stuff is in the storage. That way, it stays safe and protected from any of the elements outside.
And the toilet frenzy asks 50s Madeira or 60s to 70s for performance. From what I've seen, it seems like the 50s ones, they tend to be requiring higher pressure. I don't really like that as much. I would honestly say that I like the 60s to 70s ones better just because they can still flush really well even not on top pressure.
OL said, "Would you drive 24 hours to meet me?"
24 hours is a while.
Yeah, that is a pretty long drive. It depends. Like if I had family that lived near you or there's a bunch of stuff that's really interesting or that we could film down there, it would be a possibility. Or if I'm going to be going somewhere and I pass through the area you live in, then yeah, I would definitely meet up with you.
And is Mr. Leo Noodles Neo Hexet Vibe 2023 high? And AHA Plumbing says, OCC, what's the most rare toilet you've found? I'm not sure. I think I've got to say that my John Douglas Lotus is probably one of them. I know the brand is well known, but the model is unheard of. I think there might be one that I have. I can't, it's hard to keep track of all of them, but I think there's one that had a really, really uncommon brand too.
Uh, let's see. OL said California. If you mean that California as in you live in California, Um, I actually have a friend who lives in California too, not too far from San Diego, and I usually go there every year. So, I mean, if we wanted to meet, that definitely could be a possibility.
And Random Films asked, what states have you been to? I can't, it's hard for me to keep track. I feel like I would just be rambling and stuttering.
Yeah.
But main ones I've been to Texas, Ohio, Hawaii,
Later,
and
bro. Sig.
Tennessee, Florida. I think just those are pretty much the main ones that I've gone to. I've been to more, but I haven't really spent much time in them.
Ooh, this is a good question. The Toilet Frenzy asked, "Have y'all ever filmed a toilet that's much older than the building it's in?"
I have found a 1965 American Standard Cadet outside of a late 80s house, and I filmed a 1959 Standard Cadet in a 1989 house. I filmed two of them actually.
Someone said, "Can you do a test on a 2011 Glacier Bay?" I don't see why not.
I had one from 2012. I did tests on it. And Naomi Gina says, "Where were you the one who found a dead lizard carcass in a rimjet?" Yes, I was. I found it in the rimjet of I think it was the Capizzi toilet, and the head was floating around in the bowl. I was smashing the toilet. And I also found one when I was cleaning out a Jacuzzi Perfecta tank lid. Pointed the hose in, and it blew a dried lizard out the other end. And I found frogs in them too. Yeah. If any of the lizards are watching, don't crawl into toilets. Same with frogs. It's just stupid. Don't do
Hester
that.
Flush said, "Do you
Do you
ever
ever
plan
plan
on
on
getting an
getting an
1890s
1890s
toilet
toilet
sometime?"
sometime?
Of
Of
course, I
course, I
would
would
love to
love
get
to
an
get an
1890s
1890s
toilet,
toilet,
but
but
the
the
problem
problem
is
is
they're
they're
super
super
hard
hard
to
to
find.
find. I found one that was patented in 1890, and I have a piece of it because it was shattered to pieces when I found it, but I don't know the exact year that one was made.
And
And
Vermont
Vermont
Toilets and
Toilets and
Restroom
Restroom
Tours
Tour
says,
says,
"What's the
"What's the
hardest
hardest
toilet
toilet
company to
company to
find
find
in
in
your
your
area?"
area?"
For
For
me,
me,
it's
it's
Kilgore.
Kilgore.
And
And
I
I
would
would
say
say
the
the
hardest to
hardest to
find,
find,
meaning
meaning
one
one
that
that
I've
I've
actually
actually
found
found
rather
rather
than
than
one
one
of
of
these
these
non-existent
non-existent
little
little
potteries
potteries
companies
companies
that
that
went
went
out
out
like
like
100
100
years
years
ago.
ago.
I
I
would
would
say
say
that
that
Mansfield
Mansfield
is
is
very
very
hard
hard
to
to
find.
find.
They
They
do
do
exist
exist
in
in
my
my
area,
area,
but
but
just
just
probably
probably
the
the
most
most
common
common
company
company
that
that
is
is
rare
rare
to
to
find
find
is
is
probably
probably
Briggs.
Briggs. Briggs and Mansfield are really
For
uncommon
me,
here.
like just in the area I'm in, it's ProFlow and Vortens.
Vortens is everywhere here. I think Vortens is exclusively to my area.
And he said for him, it's Kilgore is the hardest like toilet company. For me, it's like the most common. Like I find them
Yeah,
literally everywhere.
you live like a couple hours.
I have probably like at least 30 Kilgore toilets, and I'm not
Crazy.
exaggerating when I say that.
And Dexter92 says, "What year of the American Standard Cadet do you two like the most? And do you prefer round or elongated bowls?"
Elongated, 100%.
I would say, honestly, my favorite kind of cadet is probably some of the really early ones, maybe like the second generation. I know the first one has sort of uneven rim jets, and while that's really cool that it's almost 90 years old, I would say the second generation is probably my favorite because I really like the quicker flush. And as for round or elongated, whichever flush is the best, it doesn't matter to me.
What are the oldest toilets you have found? Probably those cranes we found at that courthouse.
Those are the same age as the Penrins we just filmed,
Really?
and
Okay.
also the unknown ones in the Wood County Courthouse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There were those unknown. There were those reverse trap siphon jet ones. They were from the 20s. Those are the oldest I've actually found installed. Now the oldest I found that was uninstalled is either my John Douglas Lotus again, or it's that smashed one from the dump. But I don't have an exact date on that. And Random Film says you should make a toilet out of a 5 gallon bucket. That'd be kind of interesting. You could connect some plastic tubing to it, maybe like make a dish in the bottom of it.
Yeah. OL said, "I wasted $20 on a piston flush valve to put in an aqua source, and it didn't fit."
You got the receipt, you can return it.
Yeah. Jason White, are there toilets that can handle flushing? What is that?
I don't know, Jason White, you'll have to tell us what that means. I have no idea. I said it's some kind of food.
What
And
about inflatable lips?
I've never tried flushing those. I don't know how you would. And Aaron Lewis Vivo asked, "What do you think about Glacier Bay?" I think it depends. If you get one of the ones, the high efficiency models, and they're made in China, I think that they have a decent chance of holding up. I think that the newer ones, especially, have potential. If you get one made in Mexico, you can expect it to crack within 5 years. And so, HA Plumbing says Mansfield is very common for my town. I've seen places and I know some other filmers live in these places where Mansfield is just around every single corner and they cannot escape it. Like, I know West Michigan Vintage Toilets, TFL Plumbing, they find Mansfields absolutely everywhere. They're probably around in Ohio a lot because that's where they're made. And I know in BTR's area there are a bunch of them because of the Kilgore factory right there.
Yeah, it's like not even an hour away from me. The Toilet Frenzy, what's your favorite toilet in my collection? I have a Niza Pro, Cadet 3, and Champion from 2015, Briggs Acuity, 1997, Briggs Ultima, and a 1999 American Standard Colony. Probably the Briggs Acuity, just because they're an earlier Vacuity toilet. They're pretty cool.
I would say the 1999 Colony.
Have you ever found elephant toilets? I found one at a mall once. Um, I actually used to own one. It was like a Crane Renoki wear
I think it's
elephant trunk
Roanoke, isn't it?
toilet. What?
I think it's Roanoke, isn't it?
Roanoke, however it's pronounced. But if you go back a few years on my channel or look up the BTR Plumbing Thanksgiving special, you can see the video of it.
And that reminds me, as for toilet models, was I don't it was some of them that some of these aren't words, some of these toilet models are not words. So whatever you want to pronounce it, that's how you can pronounce it. And like some of these just aren't correct. And some of them, like you'll have to ask whatever dead person designed it if you want to know what the correct pronunciation is for it. What was it? Let me see that.
BTR, I was watching your vids too, and I got a notification and saw you was live. Well, I appreciate you joining. Master Flush Head. Vintage Kilgore toilets are extremely common in my area where I live since my whole apartment complex is full of 1971 Kilgore 108 Apex and Alpha toilets, plus some other Kilgore toilets that I filmed. That's awesome. And
Welcome.
hello, ILVT_plumbing.
And Naomi Gina says, fill your favorite toilet's tank up to the fill line with vegetable oil, then flush.
That'd be interesting.
That would ruin it.
You want to know what
I-
that reminds me of?
What?
There was some guy who did an experiment. He filled an Niza Pro toilet with mercury
I remember
and
that.
flushed a Niza Pro with mercury. That was really cool.
There was one I found. It was a Glacier Bay. It had a bunch of old like food in the bowl. It was bad and dried up, and it got all on the siphon jet, all on the trapway. I tried cleaning it with dish soap, and just I could not for the life of me get the grease out. Ended up throwing away the toilet because of that. So I would absolutely not put oil in your toilet.
OL Plumbing said, "What 3D printer do you have?" I have an Ender 3. Okay, OL Plumbing, I actually have like 16 3D printers. I have the Ender 3 Pro, Ender 3 V2, Ender 3 Max, Elegoo Mars 2 Pro, the Elegoo Neptune, and I have the Ender 5 Pro as well, and that's about it for my machines, aka 3D printers.
And ILVT asks, OCC Plumbing, what's your favorite toilet you have currently? Honestly, I've got to say again, that's my John Douglas Lotus. I just can't get enough of that. It's awesome.
Do you plan to make a miniature Kohler Cayuga or an American Standard Glenwall? It depends. I mean, normally when we make like replica toilets, it's usually by request, like multiple requests. So if a lot of people wanted to see something, then yeah, we would definitely make it.
Well, if you made a Kohler Cayuga, it would probably comply with today's water consumption standards. Probably
The
wouldn't.
vegetable oil experiment would be cool for a punishment day
It would.
video.
I would have fun cleaning that up too. And then John Reeves asks OCC, how long do you think it will be before your Capizzi toilet punishment day video hits 1 million views? Honestly,
The
I can't.
Capizal toilet.
The Capizzi toilet. And if you're watching this meet, I don't know, but that was awesome. If you haven't seen that video, I'm put it in my community post. So I don't know. I think probably sometime next year.
Have you ever got your hand stuck in your toilet? No, I've never got my hand stuck in any of my fixtures.
But there was a video of a lady that had her hand stuck in like a glacier bay or something, and
Yeah, and they had to pull it out, and then they ended up bringing her out to the yard and breaking it.
I think they installed like a mainstream or something.
Yeah.
But for the toilet frenzy said, "What's y'all's favorite thing I've filmed at open houses?" So what's my favorite thing the toilet frenzy has filmed at an open house? That's a hard one. I'm not probably one of those cadets, I would have to say. Maybe that green one. I really liked it. Wish it had a matching lid. And then OL Plumbing says my town in California is infested with Kohler. I think I think a lot of places have. I think Kohler's a very very common brand along with American Standard. And ILVT Plumbing says the other night I had a dream of a wall-mounted ultra duplex.
That would be cool.
That would be really interesting.
It's Mr. Leo Noodles Neo Hex at Vibe 2023 said, "Is the is the Capizzi toilet the worst toilet you've ever seen?"
I couldn't judge because it had the little flush valve cap stuck in it, so I never actually got to see that toilet functioning properly, so I can't say. But since it was the same with my Prosomex, and that one did function properly, I would say that is not the worst toilet I've ever seen.
What is the worst toilet you've ever seen?
It's gotta be one of those that probably the Glacier Bay I pulled out of my friend's house.
Yeah.
That Colony one from
Either that or the
2014.
Woolworth Light. You can't even flush a golf ball down the Woolworth Light without it getting stuck in the trapway.
At least it lasted 25 years without cracking,
Yeah,
whereas
that is very true.
Glacier Bays crack after 3 years
Mostly at the base, it seems.
and around the rim. And Random Film says, "What's the most messed up toilet you found?" I found them just, like, completely crushed to a million pieces. That's about as messed up as you can get.
If you're talking like what is the most
But
messed up
yeah,
toilet I've found in public, for me it would be a Carl's Jr. in California. It was a Highline on flushometer and it was not even bolted to the floor. And the whole thing, it just smelled like straight up sewer gas and the toilet was like sideways. It was absolutely horrible. And every time I flushed it, water would pour out from underneath of it.
there's a Little Caesars in near my grandma's old house that had a high cliff, an '80s high cliff, and it's not bolted to the floor. And I don't think I think it's been like that for years, and it probably still isn't.
John Reeves asked, "Do you hate all Glacier Bay toilets?" No, I do not hate all Glacier Bay toilets.
I even like some of them.
Me too. He said yes in public. So okay, then yeah, I answered his question. What is the benefit from glazed trapways? Okay, that's a very good question. So from my this is how I would explain it. Like unglazed trapways, it's basically the same texture as underneath the toilet where it's not glazed. So it's kind of like a rough sandpapery texture. And so if you don't have a glazed trapway, it's harder for like stuff to get pushed through the toilet because sometimes it could even catch onto it. So the benefits of having a glazed trapway is it's extremely smooth and it's a much smoother surface for the waste or whatever is going through the toilet to go through the trapway.
And Vintage Modern Urinal Toilet says Seasons Toilet and American Standard Champion from 2010s or newer. Are you asking which I prefer? Because I would say the Seasons.
Master Flush said, "BTR, I wanted to tell you thank you so much for pinning my comment on the video called Park Women's Restroom Full Shoot with the cat out toilets and, of course, those noisy fill valves." You're very welcome for pinning your comment. Do you like the 1 gallon Glacier Bay toilet? I haven't really seen many of
You
them.
have one.
What?
You have one.
Yeah, but like I've never really seen them out in public. I've never used one. The one I have seems okay, but I mean, it's like, is it the bucket tank one?
The bucket tank one? I don't. It's the no. That one's the flapperless. It's
Okay,
that
yeah.
one with the trapway, like really small trapway opening that's like all the way to the back of the bowl.
Okay. Well, when I tested that, it actually did okay. So I mean, honestly, I don't mind them.
I think I really wonder why they didn't use those. They should have just put those on 1.28 gallons instead of making those other ones because I think they were an all right design. They seem like they probably would leave a lot to be desired, but they were definitely better than the 1.28 ones from the time.
Random Film says, "Have you ever hit by a tornado?" Yes and no. So like we weren't directly hit by a tornado, but we had one pass through and it knocked down a lot of trees and we had no power for like several days and it was pretty bad, but it wasn't like the damage wasn't horrible, but there was some houses that had their roofs torn off and stuff, but I've never been like directly hit by a tornado.
And Naomi Genus asks, "What's the most powerful toilet you've encountered in terms of being siphonic?" And I would say that probably those '90s Altos are really siphonic. I think Ingeniums, and just in general, mainly the Highlines, I think, and the Comfort Height '80s Cadets. Those are
Um,
all really siphonic. And the Pro Flushes, the Aquaforce Henshaws, those 2.
AJ Plumbing said, I feel like we're having a toilet meeting because I'm sipping on coffee and we are talking about toilets. That's awesome. ILBT says, did you see the old crane Sonero urinals I filmed? No, I really haven't even had a chance to watch many videos lately because me and Owen have been driving every day for hours, going to a bunch of places to get content.
And Darfield Zone asks, what's your opinion on the side pushing Niagara flapperless? I think they're terrible. I would never install one.
I wouldn't either.
But again, I can't base my opinions off the one I found because if you remember when I broke it apart, it did have a toothbrush in it. So it probably wouldn't have clogged on a washcloth had it not had the toothbrush in it. But still, I hate that design. It's pointlessly weak, and I would never install one. And I really do hope they don't make them anymore.
What are your thoughts on Total Reliance toilets from the year 2000s?
Well, they're a basic front flusher. The trapway isn't glazed, it's tiny, and they seem like they would be terrible, but everyone I've encountered who's used one says that they give you no issues at all. So, I personally have no experience with them, but I would say they're probably alright. And Hot Wheels, Cars, Tracks, and Racing says, "Have you ever found a flushometer toilet and a tank toilet in the same bathroom?" I did find a rest stop. It had 2 Yorkvilles and an aft wall, and I'm pretty sure there was another one too. I know I found them in the same building, but not in the same restroom. Other than that, I don't think. I'm pretty sure there's got to be another one, but I'm just blanking on it right
I
now.
have not found a combination of like I've been in buildings that have like some bathrooms with tank toilets and some with flushometers, but not like a mix of both in one restroom.
I've seen a men's with flushometer and a unisex with a tank toilet.
John Reeves says, "What are the loudest toilets you have heard? Probably like either anything from Sloan or Kohler High Crest."
Either high crest or an airplane toilet.
Yeah,
And Darfield Zone asks, "What's your favorite toilet on my channel?" Honestly, I don't remember. You filmed a lot of stuff,
yeah.
but
I'll have to go
there's
back and watch videos and answer your question.
isn't you. I could have sworn I saw a video with some '50s cadets recently. I don't remember who filmed that, but they were at some kind of school building. I think was
Hello,
that Darfield
California
Zone.
Rails and Aviation. Thank you for joining. He asks, opinion on trains. I think they're really cool. I actually enjoy riding around in trains too. Like they're pretty fun, or like the Metro Links and stuff like that. But I also like the ones that have bathrooms too. Like the toilets are always pretty interesting.
And Jason White, my suggestion for you would be go to a park. They have pit toilets there. That would do you a lot of good.
Naomi said, I have a pounding headache, but I'm forcing myself to stay on the stream because I have so many questions. Um, Okay, if honestly, I really appreciate you watching, but if you're not feeling well, it's probably good you get some rest. But if you can't and like you really want to stay on here, I guess you can stay watching. But I'm really sorry about your headache.
And Jason White asks, or no, sorry, who was it? AFT Pony says, "What's the weirdest toilet installation you've ever seen in public?" I found one where somebody installed. I think it was a Glacier Bay, where somebody basically just found as many nuts as they could get, and they bolted the toilet down with one, and then just screwed all the other ones onto a bolt. So they just stacked the 2-inch bolt with nuts all the way to the top. It was really weird and silly and pointless, and they're all rusted too.
Um, Random films. I love watching your videos. Thank you very much. EFT said, "What's the weirdest toilet installation you ever seen out in public?" Probably like seeing a tank toilet converted into a flushometer toilet.
You've seen that?
hmm
What was it?
I don't remember. I might actually have a picture of it. I think somebody else has filmed something like that too.
I know someone
But
someone found one where they shaved down a 3-inch aqua piston and put one of those Fluid Master like glue flush valve repair kits on it. That was really weird.
oh my gosh, there's a lot of questions. I'm trying to make sure we get all of them. Uh, let's see. What's your opinion on Gerber lacrosse?
I've only ever seen one. I think it had some issues with the rim jets, but I would say they're a pretty good toilet.
I don't. As far as I know, I've never seen one.
Well, we can go see one. We can go see that exact one if you want.
Okay. John says, "What are your opinions on the Crane High Monster World Tins?" I like them.
I'd assume you're talking about the '90s and 2000s ones. I would say that the Hymons, they could be better. I like the Whirltons, I just like how they have that vintage look and flush, but obviously they have their issues, but I still like them.
Random Film says, "I deleted my toilet videos. I get bullied." Okay, listen. The thing is, if you're getting bullied, like the first thing you want, listen, just let it go through one ear and come out the other. They're just bullies. They're just trying to people who they're basically just trying to bring you down. Probably because they have something going on in their life and they're trying to take it out on you. But honestly, if you have bullies, just don't even listen to them. Like they're literally wasting your time. And if anything, they're actually building like they make your channel better because like you get the opportunity to film a bunch of stuff that people like. I mean, I got bullied when I started my channel, and that's the main reason I never show my face or my identity because I didn't want people to see. But I just really just don't listen to the bullies. I mean, as long as you can avoid them and you don't give them the attention they want, they'll stop harassing you because you're not giving them the satisfaction that they want. Is there anything you want to add to that, Owen?
Basically what he said, they're mainly bullies are mainly insecure about themselves, and if you respond to them, you're just feeding into it and giving them more of what they want. So if you try to ignore them the best you can, and just bite your tongue, I guess is what I would say. It's hard and it sucks, but that's what I would guess. That's what I guess I would do. And if it's online, try blocking them the best you can. And Naomi Janus asks, have you ever had a whirlpool form in a toilet or maybe a toilet that does that? On my tests, I have unclogged toilets and they will siphon. It'll make this crackly sound as the water goes down real fast and then it will stop and then siphon normally. So I have had that.
OL said, "Are you able to subscribe because I'm still a small YouTuber?" Of course, I might already be subscribed, but if I'm not, I will 100% subscribe to your channel.
And John Reese says, which do you like more, 2010's Kohler Kingstons or Kingston Ultras? I would say that I like the flushes on the 2010s Kingstons. I think the performance could use some improvement, and I never really cared for the Kingston Ultras, so I'd say the 2010s Kingstons.
California Rails and Aviation. I got you some Amtrak toilet footage if you want a PTR. Yes, please send it over. I'd appreciate that. And thank you for going out of your way to film those for me. I appreciate that. Have you ever had a whirlpool form in a toilet or maybe a toilet that does that? Yes, I've seen that many times. Mainly my like my Kohler San Rafael and my Kohler Rialto, they have the giant whirlpool jet and it creates just like a very large vortex in the middle because
They're
of the powerful
interesting.
swirl.
And sometimes with the clogged siphon jets, they do that too. And Hot Wheels, Cars, Tracks, Racing. I enjoy both your guys' channel. Thank you very much. I enjoy bringing you content.
Yeah, thank you very much. California Road Aviation. I film trains and get bullied. Like I said earlier, just don't listen to them. I mean, they're they're what would you call them? They're like roadblocks. Like I don't know. Like you just really like I was saying earlier, just really ignore them. Like and like Owen was saying, he agreed with me about they probably have something going on in their life and they just take it out on you. And honestly, they're probably just jealous that you get to do what you love doing, and people love to see you doing what you do.
Yeah, and like think about it. Like if you stick a stick in an anthill, you want all the ants to come out and start running around and running up the stick and scurrying and panicking. But if you stick it in the anthill and they do nothing, you're going to keep jabbing at it for a little while and then just leave. So if you don't fight back and don't give them the reaction, and honestly, I hate to say this, but just let him like push you for a little while, then he'll give up and go somewhere else.
um, Vintage modern urinal toilet said, "I don't care about Kingston Ultra toilets either. I personally like them. I think that it's almost like basically a wall hung version of the Welcome and Highcliffe Ultra.
But swirly.
But yeah, they're swirly. So I love swirly toilets. So I personally like them.
Peter, oh, that's for you. ILVT asked you about the toilet in the courthouse.
California Rails and Aviation said, "I didn't go out of my way to film the Amtrak toilet. I was on the train for 9 hours and was close to the toilet."
It's better than being far from it.
Vintage modern urinal toilet, simple inspiration. EFT plumbing. Fun fact: I haven't found a Kingston Ultra yet, but what places are typical for it? I
Apple
don't know.
stores
The first time I've
or
ever seen
Amazon.
one, the first time I've ever seen one was what? I'm trying to remember where it was. It was actually like at a mall in California.
It was like weren't like the Amazon Fresh or whatever they're called. I don't. I've heard of those having Kingston Ultras a lot. But I found one at a museum. I found one at Target. I found one at Texas A&M. I found some in an office building. They're kind of just anywhere you'd find a wall-mounted toilet.
Um, EFT said, "Fun fact: I haven't found a Kingston Ultra yet, but oh, I already answered that.
Yeah.
My bad." Uh, BTR Plumbing. Do you remember the antique unknown toilet and you and OCC got caught by a cop filming? Did you ever release your video if you have one of the restroom? Okay, so basically what happened was we walked in and we both went into the first floor restroom and we were in there for like a few minutes, taking pictures for thumbnails and filming videos. And one of like the cops walked in and he just kind of went up to the urinal and we thought he was just using it at first, but he was kind of just standing there like watching us because I guess he got suspicious of us. So we felt a little uncomfortable and we left and went upstairs to the next floor and we both kind of peeked in the restroom and saw that really old vintage or antique toilet, unknown, whatever it was. And I decided to let OCC film it first. So I went and sat down on the bench. And right as Owen went into the bathroom, I see the cop walking up the
The
stairs, and
same
I'm like,
one.
the same exact cop walking up the stairs. And I'm like, oh no. But obviously, I didn't want to say anything because then it would seem suspicious. So I just let him walk in there. And you want to tell him what you said?
Yeah, so I basically after that I was filming it and I think he walked in and I thought he was gone and when I turned around he was right there because the toilet it did not actually have a door so he could see me standing in front of it and I just sort of was lost for words when I saw him. I said like hello or something and I think I went around him and tried to and like went and washed my hands. And then after that, he asked like, are you guys all right?" And something, and we were just all sort of confused. He was standing in front of the door, and I didn't want to like ask if I could get out. I was really anxious, and I was really not thinking straight. So I said like, I don't have any drugs on me or anything, and I did actually say that. I now that I think about it, then he looked back and forth and said, "I never said anything about drugs," and
You made it so much
I
more
made it so
suspicious.
much more suspicious. But hey, it didn't get arrested, didn't get ticketed,
I
and
think I think you got a video of it, but I never got a chance to film the
yeah,
restroom because that was also part of the question.
I only got one of them. I was not able to get the other one. I don't remember which one flushed better, but I kind of want to go back and film them since I didn't get the bottom floor, but I also kind of don't because
I wouldn't.
if we both go back there and you'd wondering why are you guys back here again? Are you going to play in the restrooms again? Something like that.
Naomi said, "What were the toilets you said made whirlpools again?" It was my Kohler, San Rafael, and Rialto. They have like the big whirlpool jet. Um, what are the best restrooms you have filmed? Probably literally the courthouses and probably where we went today.
Yeah,
And
that's
there's been every once in a while I'll come across a restroom with some really awesome fixtures. But what about you?
um I'm not sure. I think those crane curtains were pretty awesome, but I don't know. I think just some of the basic ones, like some of the stuff with the basic vintage fixtures that are just really solid and really nice. Like maybe those 1972 Stanwells and Penrons. Those, I mean, they're just solid toilets. They're the office buildings with the Downings and the 70s Dexters. I mean, they do their jobs, they work, they've been standing for 50 years. But I also filmed some today. It had some crane urinals and crane Waltons. I don't really care for the washout urinals as much, but
Random
really
Film
awesome.
says just upload my 2004 Alto on YouTube. We'll have to go check that out probably after the live stream. Um, Random films. Hope I don't get bullied. I hope you don't get bullied either.
And ILVT plumbing, yes, that was very, very awkward. It was very awkward.
I'm sorry, but I was laughing the entire time.
I don't blame you, that was funny. I was just so pressured. I don't do well under pressure like that, especially when I don't even have any business being there.
EFT Plumbing says, random films. My biggest tips is that just avoid telling anyone about your interest, and then people would just forget it eventually and act like nothing at the end of the day. Also, too, find yourself some friends that accept you for who you are. It's better to have one or two friends that, truly care about you and think your hobby's interesting than to have 50 friends that just kind of just are there, or don't support your hobby or think it's weird. Like I said, it's better to have that one or two good friends that really care about you and your interest than 50 friends that don't.
And Restroom Blog says, reminds me of a few times I've got ran out of places because they didn't want me there. Vintage Toilets Pittsburgh was with me for one of them too. I can safely say I've never actually been like kicked out, hauled out, ran out, or anything. I don't think I was never actually told to leave, but I think that I've definitely there have been some cases where I wasn't supposed to be in some of the places, and they didn't necessarily make it known to me that I wasn't supposed to be there, but I've had it where they say like this is for customers or guests only or something like that.
I've had
But
that too.
I've never been told like you have to leave now.
The Toilet Frenzy said, "What do you think of my profile picture? I like that picture. What catalog is that from?"
It's 1956 Crane catalog, I guess.
Yeah. Uh, will this stream be public after it's over? Honestly, yes. I'll probably let it be public.
And Wiccan asks, my pipes are all rusty. Can you guys come snake my drains? We're not licensed plumbers, and I we don't have drain snakes
We
readily
don't have
available.
insurance or anything, so
So I think you'll have to work that one out. You can rent this. You can rent the stuff from Home Depot.
I appreciate you wanting us to do it. But like Owen said, we're not licensed, and it would better for you to hire a professional.
And John Reeves asks, how long does a toilet typically last? Well, I don't know about modern toilets since they haven't had the opportunity to last as long, but a toilet basically lasts as long as you let it last. If you keep it up and running, if you keep the tank parts in good condition, and you keep it flushing well, it'll last as long as you want it to last, pretty much. And if you accidentally break it, that's pretty much the end of it. But it'll last as long as you let it. My John Douglas Lotus is in better condition than a lot of them I find that are newer, and that thing's 122 years old. So
I've been subscriber since April of 2020, the same time my channel was created. Well, thank you for being a subscriber for over 3 years now. Really appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, he said it was from his 1956 Crane catalog. Random Russian blog said the one he wasn't with me was at a church near a university. We filmed some of the buildings. I snuck in there because the door was open and ended up getting caught on the way out. They made a scene too.
I've never I've never done churches. I think those are super risky, honestly, because they're a like if you're not part of the service, I think they'll wonder what you're doing there. But like I guess you could say the same thing for the hotels and the office buildings, but I don't know. It just some places I wouldn't try.
Kohler Rodbell toilet. Master Flush said, "What are some toilets that you found at a hotel that were broken or didn't flush right? If so,
Basically every one of them.
what were the toilets?" I found a couple of toilets. Like one hotel room I stayed at had a Seasons toilet that it wasn't broken, but it was just completely missing the tank lid. I've been to several where the toilet is like partially clogged or would never siphon. I've had it where like the flapper leaks really bad or fill valve issues. It's just I don't know what it is with hotels, but they always seem to have issues with their toilets.
And as for me, it seems like so like basically every other hotel toilet has a problem. Whether it's like missing the tank lid, something tank part doesn't work, you have to hold the handle. Like every toilet at a hotel seems to have a problem for whatever weird reason. I don't get it.
Um, Vintage modern urinal toilet said chlor toilets from newer variants are overrated.
I would agree on that. I think they make decent designs, but the issue is they don't give them enough water. Some of them, every company has their bad stuff, but I think Kohler's main issue is they just don't let them get enough water. They design them for like 1.6 or 2 gallons, but they only give them 1.28. So I think that's the main issue. And then with for me, I know BTR's story is different, but for me, the pressure lights are just too shallow. And again, I did the catch-up test, and that didn't
I
go
do
so well.
agree with the shallow part. I wish the bowl would have been a little bit deeper, like the previous gen pressure lights.
Yeah,
Um, I've never seen broken toilets at a hotel before. That's pretty surprising.
I filmed a
Normally,
lot of
like the lobby
hotels.
restrooms with commercial stuff, there's never issues, but it's always just the hotel rooms.
There was that one, the one, it was a Sheridan, I think, or no, it was the San Louis. They were on automatic sensor flushometers. It was Kingston water guards on 1.28 gallons, so you couldn't even hold it down, and they didn't even siphon. That was sad.
Random Russian blog said, "Thing is, they weren't even doing a service at the time. I went in there, which was kind of why I got yelled at. They kept screaming for me to leave too while we were on the outside of the church."
Well, you could
Okay,
ask him, what would
the
Jesus do?
see, the thing is, I feel like when people yell at you because you did something wrong and they're like trying to kick you out, they're they're being extra. Like they could have just been like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Like this is like employee access only. You can't be here." But instead, they just have to go full Karen mode, and I feel like that all of that's just unnecessary. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and what I do, like, when someone says it, I take full responsibility on myself. I
Yeah,
apologize. No matter how rude they are, I just wanna get out of this situation and not have a problem.
exactly.
But, yeah, some people just wanna make everything a fight and everything a problem, and those people suck.
I decided to take a gamble with an office building and found a standard DeVoro, so it's worth it at sometimes. Definitely.
I've
I
never
mean,
had issues with office buildings.
I really haven't either. The only times I've ever gone to office buildings is actually with you, and we found some pretty cool fixtures.
Those are totally dead too.
Yeah,
Like, they're like a dead mall except an office building. There's
yeah, Fluency metal toilet.
a what?
VFT said Fluency metal toilet.
And California Rails and Aviation asked, "May I speak to your manager?" I am the manager.
It reminds me of that one video I saw where it's like some Karen was yelling at this lady. She's like, "Let me speak to your manager." She like ducks under the desk, turns around, and then stands back up. She said, "Hi, I'm the manager. How can I help you?" That was kind of
And
funny.
Hot Wheels Cars Tracks Racing. Have you ever taken a plunger, placed it in a 1.6 toilet, and blocked the water to make it flush like a 3.5? I've I've done it to block the siphon jet, but I've never done it to block the water. And I did do it with my 2000s Afval where I blocked the outlet so it would actually siphon.
I find abandoned toilets while we're driving. Oh, me and Owen are very familiar with that.
We find so many toilets. I see them out the window. I'm like, oh, there's a toilet. Make a U-turn.
We
Go
always make
grab
an
the toilet.
OCC U-turn, and then we end up knocking on the door and be like, "Hey, are you saving that toilet? Because if not, we'd be happy to take it off your hands."
And that's how we get them.
The pressure assist cadets are too shallow.
Yeah, they are. They're terribly shallow. I really, that's why I prefer the new ones. I think that's the biggest problem with those, honestly.
EFT said, "Should I film an office tower at a mall eventually?"
I didn't know malls had office towers. I guess there's probably some kind of building, some kind of other part there. But as long as it's not like the offices that are like on the second floor of a grocery store or something like that, if it's not that type, then if it's just a regular office building and it's got stuff that's probably worth it, I would say go for it. But if it's just a bunch of lame things, I'd say it probably isn't worth it.
Naomi said, 2 weeks ago I was lightheaded and I smelled gas. Went to grab my inhaler. It was just an asthma attack. Not sure what the smell was though. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're okay.
Check to be
And
sure your stove's turned off.
yeah, make sure your stoves are turned off. And if you're still smelling gas, call someone out to fix it because gas leaks can be very dangerous because that could literally like lead to an explosion.
Yeah, it'll blow your entire house off the ground.
Yeah. So
Destroy
please get
everything
that
else.
checked out if it's still an issue. What is your opinion on Metcraft high efficiency stainless steel toilets? I really don't care too much for stainless steel toilets, but I've always wanted to have one in my collection.
Yeah, I think stainless steel toilets are just excruciatingly boring. but I've seen some. I've like some of the Neo Metro like tank metal toilets. I think those are sort of interesting, but I really don't have any interest in those. And yeah, I wouldn't do a private university. I wouldn't do private stuff like that or any kind of buildings with security. That's asking for trouble.
Random Russian blog said, "Oh yeah, also don't know if any of y'all are in WV, but if you are, I wouldn't advise you go to Salem University." And then the Toilet Frenzy said, "Random Russian blog, is that a private university? I wouldn't bother with anything private." I agree. California Rails and Aviation. I'll go book a flight just to go film the toilets for y'all.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I sometimes people just give you problems to give you problems.
It's always the people who they always act like they have like higher power over you.
And they always act like you've greatly offended them in some
Yeah,
way.
that's why I say it's they overreact.
Yeah, it's best not to risk it sometimes. Like there are some times when we look behind the double doors and say, "Is it really worth it to go past that?" And or the one where it's or the one we found some today where it said like check in at the office or something,
Yeah.
and it's just better to avoid those in general. It's not worth it. Plus, you don't even know what it'll have. You might get there and it just has a bunch of basic lame stuff that you're not interested in.
He said I do public ones only. Yeah, same for me.
Same here.
Unless I get permission.
And RJB Plumbing and Puma Nike 2023. I hope things get better.
The Toilet Frenzy tried to type something, but it said message retracted.
And Naomi Gina says, stare in the mirror for about 13 to 20 minutes. Great science experiment. I don't think I don't think I'd want to do that. I would rather do other things with that time. But if my hair is really tangly, I might just do that.
California Rails and Aviation. He said, "How's the tripod I got for you working out? It's working out awesome, and I use it in all of my videos now."
And ILVT Plumbing says, what toilet do you want the most but don't have? It's got to be a Comfort Height Cadet. I would really want one of those. I really want a Highline Water Guard and a Comfort Height Imperial.
That would be cool. One of the toilets I've always wanted for the longest time, but never had luck getting was the Highline AccuFlush, the flushometer version, and I finally got one. So that's about it. I don't really. There's no other toilet I can really think of that I absolutely like super badly want.
Me neither. I also like another Sayacto in white. That's not the plushometer version and full of glaze cracks. But and random films, what's your plumbing channel called? And John Reeves asked, do you prefer cadets on tanks or flushometers? I would say
Flushometer.
tanks for me.
For me, flushometer, and my reason is because I love commercial stuff.
I prefer tank stuff. That's just how I am. But private stuff, it's just risky.
Yeah. Like I said, unless you get permission, then I wouldn't risk it.
And are you guys hearing the same echo we're hearing? I don't know. I just wanted to know. Do you guys hear a weird sort of stadium like echo?
BTR Plumbing, do you still have the antique crane Purus? I have three crane Puruses.
Those are Purtons.
Oh,
That
Perkins,
1912 one.
Purus.
That one that I glued.
I have a, I still have it, but it's like in pieces. But I did save a piece of the rim because it was really cool.
Yeah, that toilet's amazing. It's super heavy too.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly it doesn't have the extended horn at the bottom.
And one thing too, a lot of people, I guess, were like they didn't like the fact that I destroyed it, and I can understand that. They were telling me I should have like kept it or preserved it or like turned it into like a flower pot or something, and that is totally understandable, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, at the same time, broken stuff is just like I can't really do anything with it. So it's I'd rather just get it out of the way to make room for other stuff. But the thing is too, if there's somebody who would want some of these things, like some of these toilets that are damaged that I don't want, please let me know. And if you are local or are willing to pay for shipping, we could probably end up working something out.
And for those of you who say to turn it into a planter, I think that's a really cool idea. But I would ask your mom if you'd want if she'd let you turn a toilet into a planter, and whatever she says is probably the same thing she told me, or the same thing my mom told me. So basically, absolutely not. So once I get my own property, I might do that. Might
Thank
get
y'all for 13 likes, by the way. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it sounds like you got some pretty cool stuff: Hot Wheels, cars, tracks, and racing.
Yeah. I don't think anybody said anything about the echoing, so I think we're probably fine.
Yeah.
I feel like someone would have said something already.
And yeah, if you were local and had space, yeah, it's a shame. I know I have toilets I just don't want, and I know some of you just can't find them. I wish I could give it to you, but if I tried shipping them, it would be over $100, and they would likely just end up broken.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a fan of shipping stuff. But if you're local or if you're kind of far and wanted to meet like halfway or something, I'd definitely be happy to give you some of my fixtures that I wouldn't want because of either like a defect or a crack or something like that. Or just a lot of the duplicates I have. Like again, I have 11 2011 American Standard Madeiras, and I would love to give some of them to my fans.
But yeah, we have our phones further apart now, and the volume's turned all the way down, so it's not going to screech like it was at the beginning.
Yeah. What's your opinion on pressure assist toilets? Um, Personally, like, it depends on, like, what kind of pressure assist toilet. I'm sure most of y'all know I have 2 Kohler Highline pressure lights in my house, and they do great. We've never had any issues, and they've both been installed for over a year. There was only one time, like, one of them is clogged, but that was just because of too much toilet paper. But pressure assist toilets, I think they're actually kind of a cool concept. If somebody prefers a higher or a more powerful flushing toilet, but can't afford to, like, redo all their plumbing for like flushometer stuff, then definitely pressure assist toilet would be the way to go.
My opinion with them, I think that they're a design that was an interesting concept but never properly executed because you have all that water constantly pressurized in a plastic tank, and that plastic tank can wear down, it can explode, it can leak. They're expensive, and they usually deliver a lackluster flush that can be accomplished with a gravity fed toilet.
That is very true. The one thing with the flushmates though is the ones that are recalled Sloan, there's a phone number that if you look it up, like the Sloan recall, they will tell you all the models that were recalled, and if you tell them like, "Hey, like I have a flushmate, can you check if it's recalled?" They're gonna ask for like the model numbers, and if they can confirm that it is a recalled model, they will send you a replacement one for free. And a lot of people think that the new ones still explode, but if the thing is, if they were still exploding today, like the new ones, Sloan wouldn't even be able to sell them. So
And Aaron Michaels was looking forward to seeing the new wristbands at OCC. I did actually get one from Texas A&M today. You can see it right here.
hi guys.
So, Master Flush says, "What toilet replacement was the most depressing replacement you ever saw?" I saw a Champion 4 Max replace a 50s Compton. That was the most depressing I've ever seen. 50s standard Compton at a gas station got replaced by a Champion 4 Max. The fill valve is already replaced on the Champion 4 Max. The seat is broken. It's all dirty. The handle is messed up. It doesn't. I think it still flushes all right, but the tanklet's even got a chip in it. That was just awful. I wish that Compton was still there.
Vintage Toads Florida said, "Dang, y'all are still going, LOL." Honestly, I didn't plan to be live for this long, but I've honestly really had a lot of fun chatting with you guys.
And the Toilet Frenzy asks, "How long will this stream go for?" It'll go until it ends.
Yeah. Aaron Michael said, "Sick."
And Hot Wheels, cars, racetracks, or Tracks and Racing says, I have TP test an American Standard Jetbrook and Explode. Those things, they're like little toilets. They can flush so much. They're really cool. I like them. I wonder how much you could put in a new Jetbrook. I honestly wouldn't recommend doing that though, since I don't think they're plumbed in for
Ooh.
toilet paper.
Someone earlier did ask me what toilet have I always wanted that I don't have. I didn't really have an answer to that, but for a urinal, it's 100% a modern jetbook. Those things are just super cool in my opinion. I've seen a few of them out in public, and I just really hope to find one.
And Toilet Frenzy says, what toilet would you recommend to Michael Jenkins? I think I would recommend a new American Standard Colony. I think he likes that one a lot, if I remember correctly. And as for the urinal, I would definitely say a Washbrook, a new Washbrook. And California Rails and Aviation says, I have another question. Can you question yourself? Can I question myself? Yes. And the Toilet Frenzy says, and what kind of donuts go with that? I think it's those little chocolate frosted brown, like Little Debbie Hostess, Mrs. Baird's, whatever those.
What
Whatever.
about
I
the
think
white
they're the
powdered
Hostess
ones?
donuts. Not those ones. It's the chocolate ones.
The chocolate ones?
Yeah. And Random Film says his new Elder toilet's good. I don't think that Elder makes a whole lot of models anymore. They're run by American Standard. So if you buy an Elder toilet, it's going to be basically a rebranded American Standard Cadet 3, and I don't know if they make a Champion or not, but the new Elders are very hard to come by. I've seen a couple of them, but not many.
Jetbrooks are my favorite modern urinal. Same here, honestly.
And Vintage Modern Urinal Toilet says Michael Jenkins is someone. I think did he? Oh, he retracted. But yeah, I can tell you guys love him. I've been seeing those chats.
Michael Jenkins is someone we love.
Well,
Not everyone.
I'm sure he loves us back. And Jetbrooks are really cool. I found one at a grocery store, one of the new
You
ones.
think my drink is cool?
Oh yeah, probably is. But I guess BTR is gonna leave for a little while. He's kind of thirsty, so I'll take over for a minute and answer some questions. But Master Flush says Kohler Wellworth and JDM toilets are my favorite modern toilet, and especially how well they perform. I have seen a lot of good from those. I've got a memoir Ingenium installed, and it is only clogged once since I put it in. My issue with them, they've got that little outlet at the bottom, but other than that, they seem like a pretty solid design. And the Toilet Frenzy says he loves his ProFlow donuts. He really does love them. He really does. And John Reeves says, which American Standard toilet is your favorite? I would say there are so many American Standard models. If you're talking about the new ones, I would probably go with the Afwall. Is my favorite new American Standard of all time. Again, I'm going to say it's probably the Seacto. And Naomi Gina says, how do you know if a trapway is glazed? Do you smash it? Sometimes, if it's a modern toilet, there on the website, it'll say whether it's glazed or not. And other times, you can usually look at the outlet, and it will tell, and you can like stick your hand in there or look in there as far as you can, and you can look in the opening too, and usually see if it's glazed. Because if it isn't, you'll be able to feel it at the opening.
Hopefully this is not yours. I found it in the fridge. It wasn't in the freezer.
No, I didn't have one.
Okay.
And Random Films, glad to have you on the stream. Thank you for contributing. And California Rails
Wow.
and Aviation ask, what toilet would you recommend to Shaq? I would recommend him a Project Source Pro Flush. And what would you recommend him?
To like Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Probably like a bariatric toilet.
You mean like a Great John? You mean like one of those massive high efficiency. There was one of those on offer up for like $2,000.
I
That would be
remember
cool.
that.
I wonder how much those things weigh. But RJB Plumbing and Puma Nikes. I broke a toilet when I was real little, so be careful.
Random Film says, bye BTR and OCC. Bye if you're still watching, and thank you for tuning in. Which American Standard toilet is your favorite? Ooh, that's a good question.
I said the Apple.
The Apple? Like, does he mean like any age?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I like the 70s Madeiras.
Yeah, those are really nice. Those ones with the squared fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of my favorites. I like the straight down flushes better.
This is really good.
It is. And California Rails and Aviation says, "Do you think Shaq would clog a Victorian toilet?" Well, it depends on what you mean by that. Because if you flushed like a towel or something, you could clog it. But just if you're using it normally and you use a reasonable amount of paper, then I think that a Victorian toilet would have no issue.
Naomi said, I'm also very heavily confused on how they make toilet molds for any specific or for any toilet, especially siphoning toilets. Can you explain? Okay, it's a very like long process to explain, but if you want, you can go on YouTube and search up how your toilet is made, and there are several videos that show like the process of how they make the molds and everything. But what I can tell you is older toilets, like from probably about 100 years ago, the molds for those were actually hand carved out of wood. So that's something interesting.
Those are really cool. And um, Hot Wheels, Cars, Tracks, Racing says, "How do you find the year of a fixture?" Well, on a tank toilet, a lot of times it'll be on the top towards the
Mhm.
back of the tank. It'll say the month, day, and the year. And if it's made in Mexico, it'll have the day before the month. And if it's made in China, it'll have the year before the month and the day.
And for Kohler, they usually have their dates stamped underneath like the siphon jet channel of their toilets. And if it's a urinal, like some Bardens usually have them underneath the rim, or if it's like a Dexter, usually they have them underneath like the very back of the bottom of the urinal.
And Master Flush says, "What is the most bizarre thing you found inside the siphon jet or rim jets of one of your toilets?" Inside the siphon jet, I found 17 cents, and it's 17 cents in pennies. And on top of that, there was a flush handle nut. And then that was on a 1970s VHP toilet. I did smash that one. And then on a 1980s plebe, I found some various types of some metal nuts. I found a straw. I found gum. I found
By Random Films.
I think a flush handle nut also. Those seem to be a fairly common thing that falls in the toilets. But in the rim jets, I've seen razor blade covers. I don't know why, but razor blade covers, I find those in toilets. Somehow they get in there. I have absolutely no idea. And if Shaq doesn't count on normal use, I don't know what he would count as.
Kohler existed since 1873.
That's a long time ago, 150 years.
Yeah, that is a long time ago.
That's crazy.
I love your live streams. I think he's asking when is your next one. I have no clue. This one was just kind of unplanned.
Yeah, I hadn't had one in quite a long time. I don't usually do live streams. But
In the last 7 days, Safari has prevented 62 trackers from profiling me. That's more toilets than I have.
that's good, honestly. It's better to not have people spying on you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Somebody
Yeah, it
said
is.
it's scary. Why is it like okay, California Rails and Aviation. This is for you. One of you pick a train locomotive and I will I will shove it into my Cimarron. So, California Rails and Aviation, he's basically asking you to pick a train locomotive and he will shove it into his Cimarron. If if your Cimarron's outside, then that's fine. If it's in your house, I really don't recommend shoving anything down your toilet because that could really cause some damage.
Yeah. And Toilet Frenzy asks, "What's your best flushing toilet?" If you're talking about the best flushing, the one that perfect passed my test was my 2000s round Kohler Wellworth Ingenium. I don't think it left a single speck of dirt, but the best that actually does it best at doing its job, I would say probably again my Cadet. I've had almost no issues with that.
I love vintage toilets underscore plumbing said OCC Plumbing. What phone do you have?
Samsung Galaxy A54.
I have the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Can you film a vintage elevator? I don't film anything but plumbing fixtures on my channels. So for me, no, I mean, they're cool, but I don't film anything other than plumbing stuff on my channel.
And as for me, I don't even know how to tell the age of an elevator. I personally am not interested. And my issue with filming elevators is that you're just out in the open and there are just people all over and you're filming their faces and stuff. And I don't like that. But I know a lot of you guys film elevators too and do it without showing people. So I guess you guys, you do you. I personally am not interested in it, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Random Films asks, is Kohler better than American Standard? I'm not going to answer that question. And in my opinion, that's an opinion if you think a company is better than another.
That's like a cat versus dogs, Apple versus Android.
Yeah. A full scale train locomotive will fit just fine, right? Sure.
And RJB Plumbing and Puma Nike says, "Have you ever seen 1990s Vortex toilets before?" I believe I'm one of the only people who has. I found a 1998 Vortex Vienna at an open house. I found another one. It was one like I'd never seen before. That video is actually going to come out, I think, in October. It's going to be the first, but I didn't get a date on that one, unfortunately.
And no, I have not seen a 1990s Vortex toilet.
And Hot Wheels Cars Tracks Racing says, "How many toilets of a single brand do you have?" I haven't counted recently, but there was one time that I think I had 9 Vortex Viennas at one time.
Oh, wow.
And then I had like 7 VHP toilets at one time.
Um, how many toilets of a single brand do you have?
You have
I
those 11 Madeiras.
Yeah, but I can't tell if he's asking like if like how many like if it was just Kohler, like if I had like 35 Kohler toilets or if
If
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure
sure
exactly
exactly
what
what
you're
you're
asking.
asking. Well, California Rails and Aviation says, "Guys, the demons are coming." I would recommend just turn on your light.
And
And random film says 9. Yep, I had 9 Vortex Viennas.
I have 11 Madeiras from
From
2011,
2011,
all
all
the
the
same
same
generation.
generation.
All
All
came
came
from
from
the
the
same
same
place
place
too.
too. And Naomi Janus says, "I think if your miniature trapway is the size of a McDonald's straw, it's going to flush good depending on how your trapway is shaped." I think if the toilet is sized to scale with that, it would probably flush all right. The rim jets would not be very powerful, but I think it would be pretty interesting. You might want to put it under some pressure to make it flush right.
He said the demons are coming.
Turn on your light, they'll be gone.
He said the lights are on.
Oh, well, I don't know. What do the demons look like? What would they do? And RJB Plumbing and Puma Nike says, "Is Vorton's out of business?" They are not. They're still in every new house.
Vortens is more of like a contractor brand. Like it's almost like if you see Briggs, like you can't just go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy like a Seasons toilet or Vortens or anything like that. You kind of have to special order them online.
And California Rails and Aviation says, "The demons are coming." Well, you know, you could call it Ghostbusters. and they might be able to help.
He said, "Okay, I'm not gonna read that out loud."
And Hot Wheels Tracks and Racing says, I have also 2 cardboard toilets that are flushable. They don't flush water, but they do flush marbles, and the big one flush Easter eggs. That's actually pretty cool.
I would like to see that.
It's like one of those marble roller sets I used to have, I imagine.
What's the most you've ever paid for a used toilet?
40.
60
$40.
$60, and that's my maroon Savoy.
$40 was for my 2015 Cimarron One Piece.
The
And
demons are unassembling him.
they're unassembling him. I didn't see that one. But the most I've ever paid for a used toilet that wasn't still in the box was $35 for that Mexican sand 1962 Kohler Wellworth, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, I take that back. The most I've ever spent on a used toilet was $120. It was my 2011 American Standard Yorkville.
And then I got one for 15.
How about new? Um, Probably. I think it was my Glacier Bay Power Flush when it was like 149 or $59.
I'm not gonna say the most, but I'm gonna say the second most is 117 for my Project Source Pro Flush. But didn't you spend some more on an Allbrook?
I might have. No, yeah, there was an Allbrook I spent like $200 on.
And then Master Flush says OCC Plumbing. I'll say that your 1944 standard DeBoer toilet, which is now PTR's, when you did the performance test, that toilet was literally unstoppable. Yeah, I think that would do good in Shaq's house.
I still have that toilet, and it's very clean, and it's in storage.
Yeah, that thing is a beauty. And he has mine too from 1930. I think he's kind of adopted it.
If you ever want it back, you can have it back. Yeah.
All right. And random films. What kind of smashed toilet did you find? And John Reeves asks, how many urinals do you have? I have 0.
I
I
have.
have actually. I don't have 0. I have a Dexter, a 3D printed mini Dexter.
I have between 30 and 40 urinals. I haven't counted in a long time, but if it tells you anything, I have like how many Allbrooks do I have? I think I have like 8 Allbrooks, 8 or 9 Allbrooks. All like most of them are the previous generation, and then 2 of them are the current generation, and then I also have a first gen Allbrook. Oh, they're dragging him outside. The demons.
There's clearly something strange in his neighborhood.
Remember that picture I sent you while I was in California, and there was a one-piece toilet laying on its side in someone's yard?
Yeah, do you think they dragged that out too?
No, but that's his neighbor.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Wasn't it like some Chinese dual flush toilet?
Yep.
I will choose Naomi Genus. I will choose siphoning.
Siphoning. Yeah, I like siphoning toilets, but blow up toilets are also pretty cool.
That's my personal preference.
Yeah.
I have seen some wash johns that seem like they'd be pretty interesting. I actually own one now. For those of you who don't know, I got a Duravit Stark 3, and I'm waiting to set that up and do some tests on it. And the Toilet Frenzy says, "What's your favorite of your punishment days?" I would have to go with my Lamosa Sahara. That
I
was
remember
my
that
favorite.
video.
I love the way it exploded when the bowling ball hit it.
Blow out stall urinals would actually be really cool.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting. And California Rails and Aviation says they are chanting. Well, what'd you do to them?
Yeah,
They seem to be pretty angry.
I am. He says he's concerned. I would be concerned
I
too.
think you'd be more scared out of your mind than concerned. But yeah, stall urinals, I've only ever seen them just drain into the floor, and sometimes they emit a smell.
Yeah.
I think basically every toilet at Texas A&M, I smelled sewer gas every time I flushed one.
Universal Rundle is the toilet I found. It said
Oh,
random
that's
films.
cool. You know what kind it was? I guess he's looking at it. Yeah, when I was there, it seems like in I don't remember like if there's a specific building, but I know the one with the Universal Rundle Caxtons. Those ones, for some reason, it just smelled a little sewery, and then the big tall like L or something building, that one also,
And
but I don't
yes,
know what it was about that.
the toilet frenzy said, "Do stall urinals attached to a separate trap?" Yes, they do. I've seen a Kohler Bronum that was uninstalled before, and it has no trapway built into it. I don't think any stall urinal has an integral trap. They're all external P traps,
And California Rails
kind of
and
like a bathtub.
Aviation says they have pitchforks and torches. Are you sure they aren't sand people? Oh, it's a Universal Rental Castle. Those are pretty neat.
Yeah.
They're nice. And all the sewers in the world ignited at once. It was a magical scene. I've seen surveillance videos of people doing that. It's really stupid and can get probably it's dangerous and stupid. People have blown up roads that way. And there's a video where someone put one in a manhole and he just was on the cover and it lifted off and went off the screen. So
Uh,
don't do that. It's stupid. Really stupid.
the toilet frenzy said, so theoretically, you could set up a stall urinal to be siphonic. Technically, yes, you could. That'd be kind of cool.
It would.
I'm pretty sure there have been people who filmed like some stall urinals that actually siphoned, maybe due to like a plumbing issue or ventilation. But there's also someone who's filmed like a washbrook that siphoned out.
Yeah, I think I filmed a couple. I filmed a siphonic washboard before. And also another thing is I think I've seen some videos of stall urinals flooding.
Yeah,
Then there's a time when if you like boost a barn in the way it's shaped, it'll just shoot straight forward.
I've shown that in my channel before.
And
The
I
toilet
don't
frenzy
own any
said,
stall urinals.
I do not own any stall urinals either. Um, Mainly because they're extremely expensive. I've never found any around me that are free or that have been used for cheap, and they're just not very interesting to me.
And
And they're really long and awkward, so I don't even know what I would do with it.
random restroom vlog says we didn't notice anything like that. Although then again we were going real fast trying to get our films done. I we left pretty early. We didn't get to as many buildings, I don't think. I don't know how many you guys got to, but we weren't there as long. And I think our feet were the main things that got busted in that. It was a lot of walking. That was fun though. It was well worth it.
What? Naomi says Kohler San Rafael 2000-inch option, aka tornado generator.
How many feet is 2,000 inches? That'd be a big toilet, I think.
I mean, a
Then
standard toilet roughen is 12 inches.
yeah.
Master Flush said, I would really love to meet you two someday. I'm heading back to my home city, Lubbock, Texas, around around the 9th or 10th of October. So maybe I can come down and meet you guys there sometime. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Random Restroom Blog said, we were there like all day, to be fair. Although we got almost everything filmed, it only had like a little bit to film this morning before y'all got there.
That's impressive. Did you get to see the what building was it? There was one that it had. We went to one restroom. It had Zern pint urinals and Zern wall mounted eco vantages, and then the top floor or then the second floor had those two. You didn't miss those, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, definitely want to get that. And Hot Wheels, cars, tracks, racing says I film all kinds of stuff, but I have a playlist just for plumbing fixtures if you guys are interested. That's pretty cool. I film some random things on my alternate channel, but I stick to only plumbing on my main one.
Me as well. California Rails and Aviation says, I've met him before. Yes, I see you every year, and it's awesome.
And the motorized garage says, "What's up?" Well, what's up right now is random lights on my ceiling and a rubber lizard that's been stuck there for 10 years. And California Rails and Aviation says he's interesting, and I would have to agree on that. And Random Western Vlog, yeah, I was joking about that. Those we didn't film those ones either. We were trying to get to all the cooler stuff. That tile though, it was like a brown kind of wavy shiny tile. That was sort of interesting, but the fixtures were nothing to write home about.
ILBT underscore plumbing said, if this is too personal of a question, don't answer it. But what does your family think of your toilet collection? I answered this like near the beginning of the stream, but they are very supportive of it and have been taking me to the restores like when I was younger before I could drive like every time. And they would always let me get like pick out one or two toilets. So they've always been super supportive of it. They just the only thing they ask is I keep it neat outside and I don't have toilets laying around everywhere. But other than that, they're very supportive of it.
And California Rails and Aviation says they're pouring sand on me now. Yeah, that definitely sounds like sand people. And ILBT points, or no, you answered that one already. Yeah, I didn't answer it though. Basically, as long as they don't have to look at it, they're fine with my toilets. And Master Flush says, "What's the oldest toilet you ever found at a hotel?" I would say the oldest one I found at a motel was a 1950s Elger of some kind. I don't actually have a verification on the brand. Then the oldest at an actual hotel was probably probably 1975 a Kingston maybe. I think that would have been it, a 1970s Kingston.
Good night, John. Thank you very much for tuning into the live stream.
And Random Films flushed a train down the toilet. It's a big toilet. And Naomi, I I'd give the Compton a second chance. They're pretty cool toilets. But yeah, it's pretty late. And what are you motorized garage? Is the $7,900 toilet, was that me or BTR?
I don't think I've ever found a toilet that was that much at a restore.
I didn't keep track. I know some of those Totos can get up there, but I don't know off the top of my head. But I think we probably better wrap it up pretty soon anyway.
Yeah,
It's getting
we've
awfully
been
late.
on for 137 minutes, but thank you all very much for tuning into this live stream. Hopefully y'all learned some stuff from us. It was definitely nice to be able to chat with you guys a little bit too, and I'm glad I could have OCC on the stream as well. Is there anything you'd like to add before we leave?
Well, I would just add one more thing. I'd say that California Rails and Aviation, it sounds like you're at the beach. If they're burying you in the sand and smacking you with plastic shovels, it sounds a lot like the beach. But I'd wonder why they're doing that in the middle of the night. So that's a little odd. Well, I guess sweet sandy dreams.
And thank you all very much for joining. Hopefully, y'all have a great rest of your night, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye bye.